7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
That one has a chance to go. Correa hits this one far. Kepler looks up, and just as we talked about no power, Correa hits a home run. 105-9 off the bat, and the Astros on top, 2-1.
His second hit of the game.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Prescott pass is caught. That's Brown, and he did not get it.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We have seen high school games around the state of Texas, and I'm sure elsewhere around the country. We've seen college games as well canceled, postponed, or suspended because of COVID, and now the National Football League has been hit with it. The Steelers and Titans game will not be played this week. They were going to try to do everything they could to play the game, but the game will be pushed back later in the year. And that's the first really hickey with the NFL. We'll get to more. There's a college game that a lot of people were looking forward to, a non-Power 5 game. Louisiana and Appalachian State, an update on that, the baseball playoffs, including much, much more. We got a loaded, packed lineup today, including we start with C.J. Wilson, former Baylor cornerback, played in the NFL as well. But I guess the NFL, they've been pretty fortunate. There have been, they've been through their protocol. They've had the process. There have been positive tests. However, it's the first game in which they've had a game that was canceled.
Well, really considering that they had a nice good run. They had a nice streak going before they had a cancellation, got all the way into week 4 before it happened. I mean, college football couldn't even get it into week 1 before they had multiple cancellations. So, their process has been working so far as well as it can. But the bottom line is this was going to happen. And hopefully this doesn't happen very much more, but it's probably going to happen another time or two, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're dealing with. So, it's not really that much of a surprise. I mean, I guess a little bit of a surprise. The pro leagues have, not been able to keep it all the way intact as far as, limiting the spread because they do have a lot more at their disposal than college programs have, for example. But, there's still a virus. It can still spread pretty easily, and, unfortunate for them, but just kind of par for the course for this year, really. All
right, John Machota just put up that Tyron Smith, in fact, was limited but did practice. That's probably pretty good news, and they need him. I'll tell you, I was listening to Brian Broaddus today on the Fan in Dallas. I just happened to have it on that station. He was crushing Connor Williams. The lack of strength. He's more of the athleticism you need at tackle. And not even sure if that's where he can play, but he was basically saying that he's had a couple of off seasons, and he hasn't gotten stronger.
No, he hasn't.
And they're just bullying him. And I was really surprised by what I heard him say that. Not that I haven't seen. There was that play with Aaron Donald, but he does that to anybody. He does it to the pickup truck that just went by. But that was kind of interesting. And with all the other things going on with Lyle Collins, Tyron Smith being in and out, obviously, Frederick's gone. That once amazing that you could kind of surround him with others other than Zach Martin and Tyron Smith 50-50.
Well, Connor Williams, it'll be interesting to see what the Cowboys do. He'll be entering his 4th year next year, which means that as a second-round pick, they will be able to exercise his 5th-year option or not. And if they don't do that, then you know what they think of him.
I agree. I agree. And, of course, he came out of Texas and was a pretty good he was a good player. He was a good player. I don't know if he was All-American. I mean, he probably made All-Conference because
no, he was an All-American his junior year, and then he got hurt, if you'll remember, his last year, whatever that was, and did not get to play very much. And so he didn't really have that banner, at least that's the way I remember it, that banner final season. But, yeah, I mean, it was a feel-good pick because he's from Texas, so, a lot of crossover there with some Cowboys fans, but – yeah, he's been okay. He certainly hasn't been great. And a lot of the things that people pointed out, those pre-draft breakdowns aren't always accurate. Sometimes analysts get way too caught up on little tiny things. For example, you look at a guy like Seattle's wide receiver.
Lockett?
No.
Metcalf?
Yes, DK Metcalf. They pointed out one little thing about him, although everything else was there, and then just dove in on that over and over and over. Josh Allen, he's only got a strong arm, and then just dive in on that and that and that. But with Connor Williams, the critiques are pretty accurate, and then they have been, issues for him at times, whether it's the size or the strength or what have you. So, yeah, he's got to step up his game, no doubt, and it's kind of strange to see the Cowboys who, the last couple of years really you felt like they had put so much work into building that offensive line, and that thing was going to be intact for years to come, blocking for Dak and Zeke, and in a very short amount of time, thanks to injuries and what else, it's kind of not fallen apart, but it's certainly not as mean-looking, as nasty-looking, and as strong moving into the future as we once maybe thought.
All right, so I got a question for you. I think I know the answer, but then think about this. Baylor plays at West Virginia, TCU at Texas, Oklahoma State at Kansas. Oklahoma goes to Ames, where things have brightened up with them at Iowa State. Texas Tech at Kansas State. Is it obvious or is it automatic that Oklahoma has the most must-win situation this weekend?
Well, considering that if you give yourself
yes or no?
Yeah,
okay.
Because the way I look at it, if you consider yourself a college football playoff team, you get at most one mulligan.
And this year you might get one.
You might get more than one, but you can't plan on that because you don't know what the committee is going to decide when they finally get in that. Well, they may not get in the room together. They might be socially distanced doing this thing. So once the committee gets together, you get one mulligan. They've already had it in their second game, so they really need to put the pedal to the floor.
Yeah, I would say in terms of importance, they're the team that needs to win the most. They certainly can't afford a second loss. They'll be eliminated from the playoff with a second loss. I think just in general, probably this year, I think there's going to be probably a lot of either unbeaten or one-loss teams that's going to make it difficult, no matter what your brand name is, to be a two-loss team and get into the college football playoff. So, they can ill afford to drop another game, but I would say all those teams who have one loss can't really afford to drop a game either. I would say, the teams that are unbeaten, you want to keep that intact. They don't have as much pressure, obviously, Baylor, Texas, whoever. But, there's already a lot of schools out there with a loss, and you can ill afford to have two at this point, first month of the season.
If Texas doesn't beat TCU at home, and Gary Patterson's kind of had his run with them, it doesn't mean Texas hasn't beaten him up. I think a couple of years ago they did. But if they don't win at home after how they started and how they almost didn't win in Lubbock, wouldn't that be a big-time red flag? Because TCU was just beaten by Iowa State.
So, if you look at Texas's resume right now, if I'm on the committee, I'll say, look, they've got a high-flying offense. They beat UTEP badly, which they should have. But then they had all kind of problems with Tech, who barely beat Houston Baptist. And then you go and lose a game at home to TCU, who's probably a middle-of-the-pack team this year based on everything they got going.
I think the Big 12 has this many in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, but
they're
they're
one here, a bunch here, and maybe we don't know who's up here yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone separated themselves at the top.
Yeah, and the country might be middle of the pack based on.
You're right.
This might be everything it is.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens. And Gary Patterson, they're pretty good when his back's against the wall.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that game. I think Texas wins that game. I just don't have a lot of faith in TCU's offense. I think that they can limit Texas somewhat, but I think with the offense Texas has now, they're going to score some points, so you're going to have to be able to match those points, and I just don't know that TCU can do that. On the other hand, we don't know how good Texas' defense really is, so maybe TCU can potentially put some points up, but I would be shocked by a blowout either way. I think it'll be a pretty good game. I would pick Texas if we were picking right now. But it would be, I'll be rooting for the Frogs this weekend, honestly, to upset the apple cart and hand Texas that first loss. As a Big 12 fan, I'm not rooting for the conference as a whole. So I'm not going to be like, well, they've got the best chance to get in the playoffs, so I want them to win. No, it's way too early for any of that nonsense. So I'd love to see some chaos and some shakeup.
All right, Ray Davis, one of the Rangers owners. The other one's a Baylor guy, and Bob Simpson, but he's been pretty much quiet now for the last 2 to 3, 4 years. We have CJ. We'll get to that comment in a moment. C.J. Wilson, former Baylor defensive back, played in the NFL quite some time. He's at Faith Christian High School in Grapevine. We'll have Shireen. Someone's using her. Is that the wind outside? Way too much wind. Is that me? Okay. We'll have Shireen Williams. She's a Hall of Fame writer. Jennifer Smoke, Fantasy Football League expert. Someone today on the boards, Craig, said that they always like their segment, but they like it now that you've gotten a little bit A little bit edgy with her.
I mean, that's just the way I am with her.
I think it brings
so.
out the best of her. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, high school coaches from Midway Arena. Hold on, high school. Pickham, Kirk Bull, Sam Brett. See, someone's breathing right in. It's not me for once. Okay, go ahead.
Have you ever spoken to her any other way, Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have fun with it. It's fun, and it's fun to jab her a little bit.
She's good at taking it.
I'm the same with my sister. We have
find it right back. She'll join us at 3:45 today on Fantasy Football, and she's coming off a big, big week. Let's see now. We'll take a break here and then come back with C.J. Wilson. We have this segment where we got to kind of stay ahead of the pace. So you both will have to calm down a little bit.
Okay.
Because there's sometimes we get out of whack with these segments. Ray Davis basically said enough is enough. Is that right? What he said,
but he still said he was going to keep John Daniels, which is not – it's like
but
he said half of
how much does he need to take blame? Because Ray Davis is not giving them enough money to do anything.
Yeah.
They're way down here now when it comes to what they're spending.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you can be mad at a GM for not doing things. Like you can be mad at them for trading your favorite player, but if the owner says don't spend this money, well, you got to. It kind of reminds me of what was going on before Ray Davis bought the team, where they essentially, you remember every time that the Rangers make a trade, you'd be like, what is John Daniels doing? Alfonso Soriano for Brad Wilkerson? I mean, look, trade him fine, but get something other than Brad Wilkerson. Like, don't. Termel Sledge? Why do you need Termel Sledge? Come on. But it was because they said dump as much money as you can as fast as you can.
Yeah, they did. The Rangers were like a business. It's about to sell, right? In fact, there were thoughts that once they opened up the new stadium, they would sell, although the ownership said no. So we'll get into that today as well. John Daniels, it looks as if he's going to be back for another year. I'm a JD guy, but yeah, the last 2 or 3 years, I don't care if I like him or not. It's not been good. And again, it may not be all his fault. But how many players have they developed? How many guys on their roster have come through the system and become starters?
Joey Gallo?
Joey Gallo, and you might use Kiner Falefa.
Okay, yeah.
That's it.
How many pitchers?
Not any that I can think of.
Okay, yeah.
And I know they have some guys in that early stages of maybe getting to be a year or two, but that means you're going to suffer big-time losses for another couple of years before that works out. All right, when we come back, C.J. Wilson, former Baylor cornerback. He played in the NFL for quite some time. He's now a high school coach in Grapevine, and he is next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The Kickoff Summer's Savings Event continues on. And hopefully you've been taking advantage or letting people know who could take advantage of the great deals going on with the Kickoff Savings Event. And, of course, Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. Right now, all 2020 vehicles are priced to move. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC, and during the Kickoff Savings Event, qualified buyers will score huge savings like $8,000 off on a 2020 GMC Sierra or $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. Full of room and luxury, all 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are $8,000 off. They've also got Cadillacs with nice prices, with lowered prices during the Kickoff Savings Event. They've got the 2020 line of SUVs, the XT4, the XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Get yours today, started at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac, or find one of the best sedan values on the market with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995. Big selection, great prices, free oil changes with new purchase, plus VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased at Richard Carr Motors. They stand by to support all of their customers with award-winning service. Richard Carr Motors, the people you can count on, as I mentioned earlier. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want the chance to earn your business now and for every car down the road, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home, because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
C.J. Wilson will join us momentarily. Craig just mentioned that John Rothstein is saying that Baylor and Gonzaga, which they were trying to figure out a date and where they're going to play, will have a neutral site game at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis on December the 5th per a press release. I have not gotten it yet. I don't have my email open. So Scott Drew, Mark Few, December 5th, Gonzaga and Baylor.
I think that's a mistake for Mark Few playing Scott Drew. The place where he's comfortable, Indianapolis.
We're now joined by someone that I didn't get the chance to cover. He was with the Cowboys. I had a short opportunity to do that. But, Paul, you've told me about full throttle, hair on fire personality. He's the head coach at Faith Christian in Grapevine. Former Baylor All-American defensive back C.J. Wilson. Hey, how are you having fun coaching? When did that start for you, and how much fun is it to be the actual head coach now?
Oh, man, it's a lot of fun. I thank you guys for allowing me to come on and have fun with you guys today. So, yeah, being a head coach is just as fun. I love it.
CJ, you've had a big personality since you were, probably before I knew you when you were here at Baylor, but you had a big personality at a time when the team really was starting to transition. And I know Guy Morris doesn't often get credit for what he did here because Browse came in and won, but your team was the one who started to actually win some games in the Big 12. What was that time like for you?
Oh man, it was crazy. And I thank God for it. It was, when I first got in, I remember seeing people come to the games just to laugh, literally just to boo us, and that it confused me. Like, why are you guys paying good money to come to this game just to boo us? And we started to take that stuff personally. And so over the course of time, it went from people coming to the games, laughing and all that kind of stuff to, people coming to the games and saying, hey, we got a legitimate shot to do it. So as a builder, man, that's really what we stood in and tried to do, was build the program so those who come behind could actually stand on our shoulders and take it further.
You were able to play right away as a true freshman. You played in 12 games. What was that adjustment like for you from high school to college?
Man, like going from 0 to 1,000 in a new sports car. It was literally like that. But again, man, I was blessed when I took track in my senior year, man, and I didn't run in meets. I only jumped, but I would run with the team during the week and all throughout the summer, running heels and lifting and doing all type of work, stuff that I never did before. And I didn't have a personal trainer. I just had a personal drive. And so what happened was, when I got there, from day one, I wanted it to be known that I'm here to do my part and have a role. I didn't want to come in and be a star. And I think that's what a lot of guys don't understand. You may be the star in high school, but you're going to the bottom of the totem pole when you get to college. And so my mindset was just to come in and get a role. And that's what I did. I played in every game, played against top talent in the Big 12 at that time. The Texas National Championship team, they pummeled us, but it was pretty sweet taking Roy Williams out of the Heisman Trophy running by holding that guy to 4 catches for 40 yards as a true freshman, and he was a senior. So stuff like that, man, made it worthwhile, made all of the work worthwhile. But as a true freshman, it's a whole different ball game, brother.
Yeah, you can tell you don't remember. You have specific 4 catches for 40 yards. You mentioned you didn't play as a junior. You didn't play high school football until your senior year. Do you feel like that might have made it more refreshing once you started and you weren't? Because, some guys might start when they're 6 years old and play in the NFL. But did that kind of help maybe not get you overwhelmed with football or the game?
Well, it made me hungrier. I started actually playing when I was 3 years old, but I was a knucklehead when I got to high school.
Okay.
And so it was rightfully so that my athletic director and head football coach, Tom A. Gooden, thought of athletics all together. Football, basketball, track, tennis, whatever I wanted to do, I couldn't do it. And so I had to get back in on probationary term, which means that the football team would go out during the athletic period and work, and I would have to stay outside of the building, whether it was 110 degrees outside or 40 degrees. I would have to be out there doing burpees, sit-ups, push-ups. I had to do that for 3 years, man. And so I had to eat that humble pie. And I came in one day and took about 30 seconds. I told him I wanted to play football again. And he told me to go down there and get my pads. That made me, I was so hungry and humbled at the same time that it was easy for me at that point to turn around and be like, you know what? Okay. Whoever it is I line up against, they got to pay for it. And literally, that's what made me so hungry going into the college, that I was actually thinking, like, I don't have a second chance. I don't have a tomorrow. I didn't have 6 years and all of that like other guys. I didn't have freshman, sophomore. I didn't have all that time. So I couldn't go backwards. I could only go forward. And I put my own self in that box, but thank God it paid off. So that's one of the things I tell kids today is, I understand the thought process of, go to these 37,000 different camps, kids transferring like crazy. All of that stuff, it sounds good, but that's making our kids less hungry. You got to have a reason. And especially to play at Baylor, you got to be a different breed. just because of the academics, where it's centered in. It's got to be a different breed, and I'm just happy and thankful that I was able, as I said before, be a part of the change.
When you do see that, and you deal with athletes, obviously it's a smaller school, but you deal with athletes who want to do all that stuff. How much do you share, like, yes, while that could be beneficial that you go to a camp, that's really not what it's all about with your players and people you come in contact with?
Oh, yeah. There's a difference between a camp kid and a football kid. The football kid, which is why the overall product of college football is actually not what it used to be. And it's changing the way coaches coach. Take, for instance, Mr. Lovett. Oh, I love Mr. Lovett. Mr. Lovett is a football player, okay? Mr. Ebner is a football player. But you got guys that literally was competing with kids like them to try to get to Baylor, that was good at camps, that did better at camps than those kids. But those kids have shown that they're Baylor guys, like they're actual football players. So I share with people, with kids all the time, like, what's in your chest is going to determine what type of player you're going to be. All of these camps and stuff, and it's great. I mean, it's great you get a chance to expose yourself, but that ain't real football. Real football is me and you. When you're back against the wall, mine's against the wall, who's going to win this game against you? Because I'm coming for everything that you got. And we better not show up and play against each other in front of my parents, because I'm definitely taking that personal. It's stuff like that. You can't get that out of a camp, but you can get that in football.
It's funny you mentioned that about Ebner and Lovett, because Treston Ebner did an interview this week with Holly Rowe, and she asked him, so, like, what actual position do you play? And his response was, I'm a football player. That was his exact response. And obviously you're a big fan of what you saw, I guess, last Saturday and really the last couple of years with those two running backs.
Absolutely. Those are the guys that Baylor has been needing for years. You will have a lot of great statistician kids. You'll have a lot of kids that can do their job, but they aren't really football players. And that's a part of the reason why Baylor has been climbing the ground. He put it in the right place for a guy like Dave, Coach Dave, to come along, man, and see this thing off. I hope they win the national championship, because I see more football players now, more so than players that actually can just pad stats.
CJ,
that pad name ain't necessarily a bad thing. You want football players.
Yeah. You grew up at a very difficult time. Your mother, the story's been documented. She had to do basically whatever she could to try to put food on the table. Yeah. She struggled. You had to walk to take a shower at a truck stop and all of that. What did it mean to you when you then were drafted and had a chance to take care of her?
My mom is not the emotional type, to cry and stuff like that. And I remember when my name got called, see Keyshawn Johnson on TV say it during the draft, and I walked out. My wife, who was my girlfriend then, she walked out and told her, I was at my uncle's house, actually asleep on the floor. When I came out, man, and I saw her standing there, the name go across the TV, and I looked at her, and to see her start crying, man, it hit me different. It's like a milestone in my life. At that point, had I not played another down for the rest of my life, I felt like I did what I wanted to accomplish in football. I never cared about the money, the fame, and all of that type of stuff. That was never really my thing ever. It was just about, making her happy and smile and giving her a chance to say, okay, all of the work I've done, he actually did something with it. And I'll tell you guys something I don't think I've ever told anyone. So my senior year, I was going to come out after my junior year. And the only reason why I stayed in school for my senior year was because my oldest brother and I sat down and had a conversation about the different newspaper clippings and stuff like that had came out, and whether or not, how his mom responded to that. Like, she got every clipping, but like, how was she? Do we want to give this to her for another year? And we was looking at like what was going on in her work life and stuff like that, man. And so we made the decision just to give her another chance to have the Baylor experience and to be loved and wanted and cared for it. And Baylor did that. They allowed for her to do a lot of things. So that was literally went into my decision for staying for my senior year.
What a great story.
Yeah. What was it like playing for Bill Bradley as your defensive coordinator with your two personalities in that same room?
Man, oh my Lord. Guess it's gonna be done. You really want to know the answer to that question?
I do.
Oh, man. That was the wildest thing I think of all times. I'm glad everybody don't know about it. Wild Bill Bradley, baby. Oh, man, look, whatever it is that people know about Lawrence Taylor and his wild story, that was our defensive coordinator. Yes. Now, look, Wild Bill Bradley, man, he was a genius. He was one of those guys that he was a savant at the game, and he could teach it in a way that anyone could get it. But it's also a problem that some geniuses have is that they can't relate to too many people, and so they have outlets. And Coach Bradley, man, we would show up to practice, and sometimes, man, he would be out in his car still asleep. Like, Coach, what are you doing? And he just, you never know, man. It was weird. Sometimes he'll be at practice. Sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes he'll be up in the press box watching practice. Sometimes he'll be down on the sideline. He'd have the old the bubble gum because he couldn't dip snuff in front of us. So he'll go get the old baseball bubble chewing gum and chew it and actually use it like it was snuff, man. It was weird. But he helped turn right there on Baylor campus. But he helped turn Baylor defense from a laughing stock to being, we were literally ranked number 1 in the nation for 2 years in turnovers caused, top 5 in defense. And people wouldn't know it because they look at our record or they look at different things and be like, wait a minute, Baylor is doing what on defense again? And it was headed by Wild Bill Bradley. He taught us what it meant to play defense, not just to play defense. Like, it had a different meaning. So every day that we showed up, man, we took it personal. Like, I don't care if your parents showed up out here, you make sure they taken care of, put on a helmet and have some pads, but you better give it to them. And that's literally our mentality. We went out there.
Have you
Wild Bill Bradley, baby.
Yeah, Paulie, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. You said that we might get a hell of a reaction out of CJ. So you've been through the ups and downs. Of course, anyone that lives long enough will, multiple times. Sometimes people are fortunate, but you seem to be about as clear-minded and happy as you could possibly be right now. Is that everything just kind of falling into place for you?
Absolutely. And I thank God for it. The work has been done. And outside of putting God first, man, that's literally it. Baylor rewarded me with so much information and relationships. And so all I did, man, was take that and use it and humble myself to the fact that coming from nothing, you have the world at your fingertips. And so even now, man, from Deion Sanders to, Josh McCown and his brothers, still playing at 40-some years old, to have these type of connections, stuff like that, man, it's incredible. It's incredible. I thank God for the spacing and the place.
Former Baylor cornerback All-American C.J. Wilson with us, played with the Panthers, played, of course, with the Cowboys in his NFL career, and now the coach at Faith Christian and Grapevine. What are your thoughts about Matt Rule in Carolina?
I think Matt got a lot of work carved out for him. I think one of the things that he has to do going forward is not necessarily buy into the idea of rebuilding. That's the biggest mistake that anyone can make in coaching. And I can say that because Coach Fox allowed me to become the first player coach in the history of the Carolina Panthers franchise. And I got a chance to see the real operation, working with the general manager and the president and all of that stuff, man. It's the moment you buy into it, it's going to sound good. It's going to say, well, hey, this team's struggling. Look, I was on the team that literally came up a game short of going to the Super Bowl, and then the next year, the team was stripped. And we went from going 12-4 to I think it was 2-14, and the coach got fired. Coach John Fox got fired. And a lot of that was because the thought was, well, hey, we failed here, so let's go ahead and, start rebuilding. Brother, in the NFL, everybody's good. It's just you got to find a way to improve on what people say that you don't have. So if Coach Rule can do that, he'll have a long stay in the NFL. If he buy into that notion, they're not going to let you get away with having Christian McCaffrey and Teddy Bridgewater and say, well, we're rebuilding. They're not going to let you get away with that. It may sound nice, and I know the pundits on TV will say that and all that, but brother, trust from personal experience, that does not work in the NFL.
What was that first?
I believe he can get it done, though.
Yeah. What was that first day of practice like in the NFL for you as a rookie?
Oh man, it took me like 2 years to realize it happened, man. Because it's different. It's different when you walk in the locker room and you see Steve Smith in his prime, and he walked past you and say, "What's up, Brooke? I want you all day today." Yeah, you don't have time to think about I'm a rookie no more. You got to think about, are the cameras going to be watching? Because I am not going to get embarrassed out here.
Yeah, he's one of the worst too. I mean, he would talk. He'll talk trash to to anybody, brother, sister, parent. No, I mean, he was So that was a nice indoctrination.
Man, I witnessed Steve Smith talk trash to a water boy. I witnessed Steve Smith come out to practice, watch a water boy fill up the water and stuff like this, and he literally came out and said, "Hey, man, you're not filling this water fast enough. Let me show you how to do it." So he literally takes out for practice, goes and shows the guy how to put it together. He started feeding the offensive line the water and holding it and saying about how many ounces of water was taken. You need to step the game up, man. How am I better than you at giving guys water? Yes, that's Steve Smith.
CJ,
yes, I witnessed that.
That's another one of those gems of a story. You obviously had the year with the Cowboys in 11. They're struggling stopping anybody from throwing the ball. Of course, they're throwing for 450 yards a game. But how often do guys get completely wide open? Have you seen running free like you see in the NFL, like we've seen against them the first 3 weeks?
It's skill set and coaching. It's skill set and coaching. Some guys, you go and you look at the draft and get excited when you draft them because they can run this and they're this size. Ooh, they came from this school and they can do this. Well, what they're not taking into account is the scheme that kid came from. That's what happened to Mo Claiborne. Mo was in a man-to-man defense, blitz-style defense, where the ball had to come out quick. But you draft him, you put him into his own concept where he has to hold on the guy for a while, and it never worked. So it's the same thing with what you guys are seeing now is that these kids are being drafted to come and play. Literally, the schemes that make them great is not what the Cowboys are running. And Coach Nolan is a very super detailed. And so you're asking young guys to do things they've never done before. Mm-hmm. You can put up 400 or 500 yards, but it's not going to matter defensively because you don't have guys that understand the details. Now, in a little time, you may be able to get that, but Coach Nolan has got to figure out a way to make things. He got to figure out a way to give them the kids, which means keep it simple, stupid. Mm-hmm. That's it. And as a coach, you got to tell yourself, keep it simple, stupid. What does this kid do well, and let's maximize that. When you follow that system, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to follow up about your coaching. You guys just hammered Bishop Dunn, 56-0. You're playing community.
Yes,
you play in Nevada community this week. Is that something you already are preaching yourself as, teaching high school kids, coaching high school young men?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I told all of my coaches, and I have guys that's been coaching for 31 years on my staff and state champions and national champions coaching on my staff. And literally that's since day one when I got in. It doesn't matter about the genius that we have. It's about what's in the kid's head and in their chest. We can physically get them ready, but let's put them in the best position to maximize their potential, and then we can build on that. And so you got a team like Bishop Dunn, who in 2018 won a state championship. And so you have sophomores on that team that are seniors now, and they got off the bus with the chest, real big, proud, and all of that. And 56-0 happened.
Yeah.
Because we just kept it simple. So it works on all levels. That's all Belichick does. He'll complicate it for some people who don't understand it, but all he does is keep it simple and maximize the guys that doesn't have egos. And that's really what we're going after.
CJ, I'm so glad we got in touch with you. I know you've been busy trying to get this season underway and under such unique and unknown times, but, man, love to have you on. We got to get you on every once in a while just to analyze what you've seen with Baylor with that defense, the way they're playing defense right now.
Man, I'm so excited. I get chills bumps whenever I think about it. You guys, this may, and I'm not hyping it, but this may be it. If we can give Coach Aranda a chance, man, defensively, guys, we can do this. The first national championship in the history of the school, we can do it. And I'm a believer. I always have been, and I've been called crazy because of that. But, hey, stranger things have happened, and 2020 has proven it. And I'm a believer. So I believe this year they can do it if the defense just holds up. I know Lovett and Ebner and Brewer going to take us there, baby. Let's get it. Sick and Bears for life.
I think you need to come talk to the team. Yeah. They've had Tony Dungy, Tom Osborne. They've had all these guys come down here. Grant Tapp, of course, the great Grant Tapp. They need to bring C.J. Wilson or have you do a Zoom meeting. Craig, you have one more follow-up?
Yeah, CJ, one player that I wanted to ask you about in particular, Terrell Bernard, because you know the game and you've kind of broken it down. You mentioned Charlie and those guys, but Terrell Bernard, how good is he and how much upside does he have in the future?
He has a chance to be one of the greatest. He just got to stay consistent, and he can't allow for his coaches' desire for him to be great, to be greater than what's in his chest and what's in his head. He has that type of potential. I love watching him. I want him to take it to the next level, though. Let's not just be the leader of the team. Let's be the leader of the country. That's what I see when I see that young man.
CJ, thank you. We will be in touch. Man, it's great to have you on the show today. Appreciate your time. Good luck with the game in Nevada. You know the right one now. It's the one just a little bit northeast of Dallas. I know where you're going. But
right, we're not going to leave the state, brother. We're going to stay here.
Thank you so much, man. Golly, that was a great segment. C.J. Wilson, former Baylor All-American, also played with the Panthers, Cowboys. Shireen Williams is going to be moved to 415, Armstrong. Jennifer Smoke next with fantasy football. We'll have John Machota, Max at 4, Mickey at 4:30. We are loaded up. Mm-hmm. And Sam Bradshaw will help break down the game with the West Virginia in his own mind at 5:30 today, along with much more. God, he was great. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. How about the secure lock equip that they've got on the debit cards? You get instant notifications whenever you use your card, whenever it's used. You can turn it on and off like if you're going on vacation overseas. Control your ATM withdrawals and set spending limits. Maybe you're giving your son or daughter their first debit card. Well, you can put a limit on how much they can spend. Really awesome. And they have instant issue debit cards. So when you lose it, if something happens, you lose your debit card, you just go up. You can drive to the drive-through window. I know Smokey did this just recently. And you say, look, I need a new card. And it's right there. You don't have to worry about calling away, and going through all the rigmarole of the big national bank. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
How do you get the job done? With power. Get all the power you need in a new Ram. Alan Samuels presents Ram Power Days. Extra special savings and special factory financing on all new models. Hauling families to great places. Doing chores, working hard. Alan Samuels will help you get the job done. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We delivered. Alan Samuels, official auto dealer of the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour approaching. We'll have Max Olson, Shireen Williams, Mickey Spagnola, and our high school football pick'em. But we're now joined by Fantasy Football League expert Jennifer Smoke on Sikkim 365 Radio with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and David Smoke. And we had some chatter about the segment on the forums. There was some chatter. Yeah, people that liked it a lot. They liked the edge. They liked the information. And she's coming off a massive win. Jennifer, despite Paul's bad advice about quarterback play, you loaded up. You keep telling us this team is good. And I guess you're right.
Yeah. Yes, I feel good. I'm glad that after I lost Saquon, I still was able to bounce back this week and have a good win. And I feel like I told you, I'm telling you, I have a good team.
You do. You do. Your matchup this week is weird. I don't know why Taylor and Hyde Zeke is as bad as she is at 0-3 with Rodgers, Zeke, and Travis Kelce and Mike Evans all on her roster. But that's a tough matchup. But I like what you've done. I still stick by Gardner Minshew as a long-term solution, but Joe Burrow is going to start for Jen this week, guys, at quarterback, and they're playing Jacksonville. I think you're getting a lot of points out of him, Jen.
Yeah, I feel good about Burrow because, obviously I think that last week having Minshew in, I don't think it was necessarily a bad decision, but with Chart being out, I think that affected me, and especially since Minshew didn't get any touchdowns. So I am excited to go with Burrow. I mean, Burrow would have been my top quarterback on my bench last week. And I feel like, with him, like I mentioned before 2 weeks ago when he threw for 61 times in 1 week, and then, in one game, 44 times last week against Philly, I just feel like he's a very attractive fantasy quarterback for me right now. So I did pick up Goff on my waivers this week. I ended up dropping Minshew because I was just bummed about his performance last week, but I did pick up Goff, and I think I'll just take it week by week between the both of them and see what their matchups are.
I don't have anything else. Hoping this segment would be over by the time I got out of the bathroom. But
Craig, I swear, people are going to think me and you hate each other or something. I know you love me, Craig.
So are you more satisfied with your wide receivers now than maybe you were the last couple of weeks?
I think the question is, are you more satisfied with my wide receivers? Because, yes, I am. I feel like obviously I was finally able to play Galladay this week, and I feel like he finally got his first start after his hamstring injury, and he went for 6 catches, 57 yards, a touchdown, and I feel like he's the clear favorite for Matthew in the for Stafford. I say on a first name basis for Stafford in the red zone. And then Kupp finally had a great week. This was the first time that they were kind of having to, come throw a lot. So I feel like he was able to shine, and especially against the Bills. Which, speaking of the Bills, whoever picked up Josh Allen in our group really scored with that one, because he is having a hell of a year and throwing crazy numbers around. So it's been exciting to watch him this year too.
All right.
He's right now.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, he's right behind Wilson in fantasy points, and Mahomes is in third. So that was a good pickup for whoever has him on their fantasy team.
I thought the impressive part about your team, it shows the depth of your team. Like Will Fuller had he bounced back. Josh Jacobs did not have to have a big game for you at running back for you to win. And your Indianapolis defense went nuts, scored a bunch of points as well. So you're kind of having this depth from different areas. You're not having to rely on just one player to carry the team. And I said from the beginning, I like this team. I like the depth of the team.
I don't think that.
I don't know if I remember that.
I've been a believer since day one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's impressive you were able to rebuild it so quickly, and you're 2-1. That could have been a team that fell apart.
Well, here's the thing. I got lucky in I think it was the first week that I ended up picking up James Robinson, and he's been a lifesaver for me because he has truly been a fantasy breakout star. He had 11 carries for 46 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then more importantly, last week against Miami, he had 6 catches for 83 yards. So I'm really excited about him. I feel like right now he's ranked the number 5 fantasy running back in PPR leagues. And so if he keeps this up, I feel like he's really going to be a lifesaver for me now that I've lost Saquon Barkley. But yeah, it just shows, even with Josh Jacobs not playing that well, some of my other people really stepped up, and it just shows that, maybe, hopefully, knock on wood, it's not going to hurt me too bad from losing Barkley.
Jennifer,
and yeah, the Colts defense, I'm in love with right now.
Yeah, the Colts defense was great. By the way, our mother texted me and she said, "Tell her not to cuss." So you need to watch your mouth, according to our own mother.
Did she cuss?
I thought we can on this.
So because you can, you're going to?
Sometimes it's so sad I get passionate about this. Okay, but no, okay, I'll watch my mouth.
Okay, Jen, I know that my advice after the Gardner Minshew debacle probably falls on, you're probably taking it coolly. I think you need to just let go of Philip Lindsay. I'm not going to tell you who to get. Just anybody in that flex section
he's
maybe in the top 10 guys.
This could take forever.
Yeah.
Why are y'all so mad at him? What did Lindsay do to you guys?
He's not playing.
He's not playing.
You don't have to play him.
I know, but do y'all remember last year whenever I had him on my bench, and he saved me a few weeks too when Joe Mixon didn't do anything, and then I feel like Lindsay. I know he's not a star, but I do feel like he's a nice option to have on my bench. There's not a lot of running backs that are out there right now, so I don't really want to let him go unless there's absolutely somebody else that I have to have.
Jennifer, any way you could go pick up Joe Mixon? Anybody have him?
Yeah, unfortunately, and he's still not doing great this year either. By the way,
she hates Joe Mixon.
I don't think that you should be
I don't hate him.
Loyal to Philip Lindsay just because of last year. I think that you just need to just any of them, just go in the flex section, pick any of them. Just any of those people in the first 12 to 15 guys. They'll all be better for you to plug and play than Philip Lindsay, who he's got turf toe that just kind of sticks around.
Yeah, that's so annoying. That's what Devontae Adams had last year whenever I had him. And or was it him or Thielen? But okay, I'll consider.
Thielen was one of your better players last year. By the way, this is from Too Tall Hall. Doesn't a regular guest like Jennifer at least deserve a photo on the backboard? Like we'd have Mac Rhodes or RG3.
Yeah. But see,
I can go get some still shots.
Oh, I've got some photos.
No, Craig.
Remember the popcorn hair back in the days?
Yeah, popcorn perm hair. I've got
what was the name of that little elementary school?
Rice
Elementary School. Yeah.
I got plenty of you and no makeup with Oreo. just hanging out. I mean, I got a lot I could choose from.
I'll get you back. I'll get you back, Craig. I'll get you back.
So Jennifer can send us an approved photo and trust that we put it on.
After she's looked at it 400 times at every angle. I mean, the pictures that have to be approved, it takes it's worse than going through Congress to get one of them approved. So any cat fights among the girls? We haven't had any of those other than maybe you and Tara. But was there anything last week, maybe the group text, where anyone started going after one of the other ones? We like that kind of stuff, too.
Well, after we do these shows, sometimes I'll share them to my Facebook. And the girls always like me to send them the show after we talk. But sometimes it's not in my best interest to do that, because if you've given me advice, then, I don't want them to pick up somebody that maybe you guys have recommended. But I still do it. So I didn't end up sharing this show on Facebook until Tuesday after everything was done with, since I was in California. And immediately the girl that I played last week, Alex, she immediately must have seen it on my Facebook and texted to the group chat and was like, Jennifer Smoke, is that why you beat me last week? Because of all the advice that they gave you? And I literally, I literally put an asterisk, takes a deep breath, and I said, actually, the only recommendation they gave me was the worst person on my team last week. And every single person I had in last week were people that I already had on my team. So, y'all didn't even help me that much. And what y'all did help me with was not good.
That was Paul. It was not Craig. Craig, we did not.
I remember all y'all. Look, we can play back this segment. I think I remember you being like, you need to drop. You need to drop.
I thought you should start Burrow, and I would have been right. Now, who you? I know we're up against Hyde and Zeke. Is that who
Taylor.
you're playing? Oh, Taylor. What's Taylor got? What's the big thing here?
She's got Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
Zeke,
good God.
Travis Kelce, Mike Evans. Those are her big players right there. She's got Dobbins, McLaurin, Robbie Anderson, Bills defense, and Matt Prater. So it's a good matchup. Right now we're pretty neck and neck with the projected points, but we all know that doesn't really ever matter. So
J.K. Dobbins, an Earl Campbell Award winner last year. Is that right?
Yeah. Very nice guy. Very, very nice guy.
Okay. All right.
Philip Lindsay unlikely to play again. You guys already kind of said that, but I just saw that flash across once again.
Yeah,
so.
turf toe. By the way, Philip Lindsay has turf toe. Jen,
Philip Lindsay of the Broncos, their running back.
He's the least of my worries right now.
Yeah,
let me mention, I've also got Justin Jefferson on my bench, and at first he had a slow start. Did you not see him last week? Why?
Why is he on your bench? Is what I'm asking.
Oh, because all my other players are so good, But Justin Jefferson got 7 catches last week, 175 yards and a touchdown.
What?
I'm surprised nobody picked him up on waivers before me, because I was like 6 in waivers. But I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be good.
And Deebo Samuel, probably not this week, but next week will come off, and that's going to be a good pickup. So
I'm glad. Okay, how's Daniel's team?
Plural. He's got multiple, I believe.
He's got 2. He's doing good. He's winning. He's doing good in one league, and the other league, well, it's pretty bad for him this week because of the game getting canceled. He had Derrick Henry, and he also has James Conner. So both those guys are going to be out this week, which that's not. I feel like that's not fair for fantasy. That's going to really be hard on people throughout the rest of this year. But it is what it is. But yeah, that's going to be not so good this week, but I'm sure he'll figure something out.
All right. Glad you bounced back. I've believed in the team from the beginning, the night of the draft. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you, Jen.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Jennifer Smoke, fantasy football expert. She's 2-1 playing Taylor this week. When we come back, we'll have Max Olson, theathletic.com, Mickey at 4:30, Shireen Williams, Hall of Fame NFL writer at 4:15, High School Pick'em at 4:45. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, trying to help make sure you protect whatever you have in the back of your pickup truck with your bed. With a bed cover, lay-in or spray-in liner. And if you have a bed cover, well, then maybe there's something else you need with your pickup truck. And if you do, they can help you out with the accessories, maybe a grill guard, a bumper, something that makes your truck or even SUV and minivan look even more special than it already is. Pickup Outfitters has every type of bed cover you can want. One-piece lids, hard and soft roll-up, removable, paint to match, also retractable and hard folding. CreateACommotion.com is the website. 220 Lake Air Drive is where Jay Arrett has built the business. After it had been in business for a while, he took it over, and now 20-plus years, 22 years in business, and they continue to go very strong. And why you want a bed cover on your pickup truck? Because it helps protect whatever's in it from what could be the elements. Man, right now the weather's fantastic, but maybe there's dust or rain or dirt or just the wind that can blow something out. Pickup Outfitters can help you pick up a pickup bed cover and make sure you protect others from seeing what you have as well for safety and security. It's Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive, CreateACommotion.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Brewer to the air. Wide open is Ebner for the easy touchdown. Well, he scored one already on the ground, this time through the air, and the senior from Henderson, Texas. A couple of scores already.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Max Olson every Thursday from theathletic.com joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. And Max, of course, does a lot of work when it comes to the Big 12 and covering the conference that last week put everybody on its ear like Mike Leach and Mississippi State may have done with LSU and the SEC. Max, obviously Oklahoma now plays at Iowa State, who did win against TCU. When was the last time Oklahoma, they lost that game to Houston early 3 or 4 years ago, but this early in the year in the Big 12 to have a must-win for them?
I'll tell you this, Oklahoma has not lost back-to-back conference games since the last year of John Blake.
98.
So, yeah, this is a interesting spot for the Sooners for sure, and you know, you kind of wonder a little bit with where they're at. You know, they played a good game for the most part against K-State and then just had way too many mistakes. You know, when you turn over as many times as they did, you have the block punt, a turnover on downs. You can lose to a bunch of teams in this conference when you make that many mistakes, and part of that comes with having a freshman quarterback. But it's a really interesting spot here because, you know, usually they bounce back from that one loss they have, and they bounce back in a really big way in league play. But that schedule ahead for them is it's pretty interesting. There's definitely some teams ahead here in the next few weeks for them that can give them a really tough fight and potentially beat them.
Max, you wrote this week about Houston Baptist and Bailey Zapp, their quarterback. Pretty fascinating story for a 4-game season.
Yeah, what HBU is doing this year is pretty wild to watch. You know, while the rest of the Southland Conference decided to play a spring season, they and a couple other teams in their league decided they're really determined to play this fall. So HBU set up a 4-game schedule. They played UNT, they played Texas Tech, and they played Louisiana Tech. You know, 3 FBS teams, and you know their quarterback has had a pretty incredible start here. He's averaging almost 500 passing yards a game, 12 TDs. You know, only 1 pick. Leading the country in passing, and they're running an air raid offense there under Zach Kitley, who I think is going to be a rising star in this business. He was a GA for Texas Tech under Kingsbury, worked really, really closely with Patrick Mahomes. That HBU is they're playing a short season here. They're almost one more game this week, but they have definitely gotten people's attention and certainly almost beat Texas Tech.
Max, I understand it was Kansas, but outside of that, what did you think of Dave Aranda's debut as Baylor head coach?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I watching that game. I did the state of the program on Kansas this spring and sat down with Les Miles in February, and no one never mentioned that quarterback to me, Jalen Gardner. So wow. I had no idea what to expect from Kansas, and maybe that's just because he wasn't on campus yet. But that wasn't the plan in their 3-man quarterback battle for the number 4 guy to rise up there. But so I was fascinated to watch it. I thought Baylor looked really good. Obviously, you know, certainly when you can get the 2 return touchdowns from Ebner there. That's going to help you pull away in a game like that. But, you know, just to keep in mind everything that Baylor had gone through in the weeks preceding that, I thought a really solid performance all around. And, you know, I think people are there's going to be some folks picking Baylor to win this week too, which I think is going to be a pretty great test to go to Morgantown now and kind of figure out, okay, can we play with a little bit of consistency here, or is this going to be kind of a process for a first-year staff here of getting these guys to kind of show up the same way every week.
And the good news is they might be getting – well, we know they're going to get Xavier Newman back, and who knows about whether they get the starting right guard, Bettier, and the right tackle and Burton back as well. They'll have to kind of wait probably until maybe they know now or not, but that was with 3 starters on the offensive line being out.
Yeah, I think that's you know, I don't have any intel on if they're definitely back, other than Newman, but I certainly think that's going to make a difference here. And you know, as Baylor saw last year when West Virginia came to town, you know, those Stills brothers are a problem for sure. And they were able to get a lot of TFLs and create a lot of pressure last year. So to have those guys, you know, back is huge. Obviously, Jake Burton, you know, you're curious to see kind of how he plays, how quickly he catches up here. But yeah, I think that's definitely going to make a difference. And, you know, I think in the next few weeks, I think people will start to figure out, that running back duo at Baylor has probably not gotten nearly enough attention. They're really good.
Max, Mike Leach made his debut in the SEC, and he's been trying to get a job in the SEC for a long time. He was rumored at Tennessee a few years ago. He tried to get, at least into the Southeast. I know he tried to get the ACC too, maybe getting the Miami job. But are you surprised at all that his offense worked right away?
I was surprised by the result for sure, to beat the national champs by 10 points in Baton Rouge like that. I mean, we've seen some flashes from KJ Costello that he could be a really good player. He's led Stanford to a Pac-12 title game before, and has played well at times. But you didn't know that dude could just go step in there and fire away and throw for 600 yards against LSU and that Bo Pelini defense that just really, really struggled in the secondary. So that was pretty crazy to watch. And I think the thing that the kind of the secret weapon there too is that Mike Leach certainly has not had a running back like Kylan Hill, and Kylan Hill has adjusted well. He was really unstoppable in the passing game out of the backfield last week, and I think that's one of those pieces you don't really usually see with the Mike Leach offense that I think makes them even more trouble to defend.
Max, what do you think about Texas and TCU this weekend?
Yeah, it's hard to feel confident on that one, just because Gary Patterson has really had Texas's number. I think 5 of the last 6 years now. I looked it up since since TCU joined the Big 12. They've held Texas to 17 points a game offensively, and so they always have a great plan. And I think there were a couple things in that Iowa State game that kind of kept that score a little bit closer. So I'm curious to see if you can get the full game from Max Duggan. Is TCU a lot more competitive this week with Texas? I definitely think so. And, I think for Texas, if you're going to continue to struggle with the missed tackles and things like that, and if you don't tighten up on special teams after all the blunders that happened in Lubbock, then certainly you're going to be in some trouble there. So I think Texas will survive, but I do think that will be a pretty fun one to watch.
Max, what are your thoughts? Max Olson, theathletic.com, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Your thoughts about the Big Ten teams being ranked and they don't play for almost a month?
I mean, I'm not an AP voter, but, I think if I were, I would probably be that guy that everyone gets mad at because I wouldn't rank them until they started playing games. That's just me. I find that frustrating when they show up in the polls last week. On Sunday, Louisiana won another game. They were number 19. They won a thriller. That's a team that beat Iowa State. Obviously, the win over Iowa State looks even better after they beat TCU. And Louisiana drops out of the top 25 after winning a game and gets replaced by Wisconsin, who hasn't played a game at all. And so I found that I get that the voters are being asked to do something that's a little bit unusual here, and certainly as we get I guess into November, it will start to look right a little bit, but. Yeah, right now it doesn't make a lot of sense. You're giving these teams kind of the benefit of the doubt when you haven't seen anything, and while these teams that are playing right now are having to work through all the challenges that come with playing this fall.
I agree. Thank you, Max. Appreciate you as always. Max Olson, Thursdays at 5 from theathletic.com. When we come back, Hall of Fame writer Shireen Williams, ProFootballTalk.com. Also at 4:30, Mickey Spagnola from DallasCowboys.com. High School Pick'em at 4:45. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Artur Fuente, Ashton, Cohiba, Macanudo, Monte Cristo, Punch, Padron, My Father, Rocky Patel, Romeo and Julieta. These are just some of the great names of cigars that you can find inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Carol and Ashley run. They're open Tuesday through Saturday. On the weekends, open on Saturdays from 10 until 4. And they are cigar aficionados. They also smoke the cigars that they have inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. If there's something new in the market, like one of the names I didn't bring out is like Christoph, one of the great names in cigars. And right now, the number one cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua, they have it available inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. They have coffee beans with all the different aroma and flavors, decaffeinated or organic coffees as well, and CBD 100% U.S. grown, full spectrum, broad spectrum CBD, and it's great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, anxiety, mild depression, and more. And in fact, they have a bottle of Vital Dreams, which allows you to kind of go to sleep if you're one of those that tosses and turns before you can finally just relax. Don Humidor, tell Carol and Ashley Smokey sent you, and their 48-foot walk-in humidor filled with the best in cigars in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
She is a Hall of Fame writer. Shireen Williams joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Shireen on at NFL Shireen, Charean, Hall of Fame voter, past president of Pro Football Writers Association, and also for Pro Football Talk. And she joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. So the Cowboys, it's drama every week, no matter what. They can't win 20-3 or lose 31-10 without something. Shireen, in private, do they like what they have and they just feel like it'll be cleared up and they're in a division that they don't have to panic? Or is there panic? Is there like, oh, my God, what's going on with this football team?
No, I think they still feel pretty good about where they are and how they've played.
Bill Parcells always said, "You are what your record says you are." They're 1-2, and easily could be 0-3. But hey, they could have won those other two games too. They probably should have won the Rams and possibly Seahawks game and lost the Falcons game. But that's how it rolls. That's what happens. So you have to kind of live with it. But they're close. They're close to the teams in the NFC West, which is their unfortunate draw this year because we know that's the best division in football, and they got 2 more games to play in that division that aren't going to be easy. It was a bad draw, but the rest of the NFC East has that same thing. It's a bad division. They're tied for first place. I think they feel pretty good and feel like they're going to get better as the year goes on. We'll see if that's the case. I mean, their defense to me is just absolutely terrible, and I don't see it getting any better as the year goes on, especially as you have more injuries.
Shireen, the Mike Nolan's scheme doesn't seem to fit the people they have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they're struggling, and you heard Everson Griffin and DeMarcus Lawrence and some others talk about, getting down in the stance and standing up and the difference, and they don't seem to like it. It certainly fits Aldon Smith and what he's doing. He's been the one highlight off that defense, but nothing else seems to fit their personnel. And they don't have that many good players on the other side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, you just don't have that many good players, especially when you start looking at the linebacker position and you see Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch, aren't playing. But the secondary wasn't good before the year started, and we knew that. And we knew they were going to have to get to the quarterback, and you have one guy getting to the quarterback right now, and that's Aldon Smith. So it's tough. It's really tough. I'm actually writing a post right now. Dak Prescott was asked today about playing fast and putting up the yards they're putting up and all that sort of thing. And he talks about tempo and playing fast. And they want to play fast. That's great. The problem for them is they're getting killed in time of possession. They keep putting a really bad defense back on the field again and again and again and again. And you just can't do that. They're under 28 minutes time of possession in each of the first 3 games. They're averaging 26 minutes time of possession per game. I don't think the best Ravens defense you can come up with can cover that long. They can't be on the field that long. And only the Jets, Giants, Texans, and Vikings have worse time of possession than the Cowboys do. Last time the Cowboys won a division title, they averaged 32 minutes time of possession per game. So they're way below what they were. They're keeping that defense on the field way too long and exposing them time after time after time. Now, look, they've played 3 really good quarterbacks. I mean, I think Goff's better than what people give him credit for. But they played 3 really good quarterbacks. They're going to see some quarterbacks who aren't as good, including this week. Baker Mayfield hasn't played as good as those other guys. So they're going to see some lesser quarterbacks as they move forward, and that's part of the problem. But that secondary is just being exposed right now.
Shireen, you mentioned Baker there, and I guess the bigger concern offensively for Dallas is probably those running backs, given how they've not performed very well against the run game this year. Myles Garrett as well, with kind of an offensive line that's been patchwork, is going to be an issue. But how do you think they stack up, toe-to-toe with Cleveland?
Well, I do know that Cowboys fans, and they're probably the only ones in the history of the NFL, quake when they hear Adrian Claiborne's name. And Adrian Claiborne plays the Browns. The Cowboys fans give him way more respect than anybody else in the league does. There's a reason he's a journeyman. But the good news is they don't have Chaz Green over there at left tackle this week. And Tyron did come back to practice, and that's going to help. But your point is good. I think they need to run the ball more. But it's hard to run the ball, too, when your offensive line sort of in patchwork, as the Cowboys have had a patchwork offensive line this season with their 2 tackles being out for most of the year. Tyron Smith obviously did play the season opener, but Lyle Collins remains on injured reserve and doesn't look like he's coming back this week. And then, just a turnover with Travis Frederick in the middle. But back to your point about Cleveland being able to run the ball, hey, they've got the best 1-2 rushing punch in the NFL. Both those rushers are over 200 yards, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Ezekiel Elliott has just over 200 yards himself. And so that tells you how good that run game is for Cleveland. Now, how they're going to keep all those people happy all year long, I don't know. But they're built on the run. And if Kevin Stefanski, and I think he will, sticks with the run, this is going to be a tough offense. The less you can have Baker Mayfield throw, the better a quarterback he is.
Shireen Williams with us, NFL writer, Hall of Fame writer and voter as well on Sikkim 365 Radio. Your thoughts about what's happened in Nashville with the Titans and the NFL? We wondered about how and what would it take maybe for a game to be canceled, suspended, pushed back, whatever. Is it a league-wide concern what's happened in Nashville, or do they feel like this is the exception?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. There is concern. There is concern in the NFL. They don't want this to get out of hand, which is why this is a postponement. And they probably could go ahead and play the game, but they don't want to roll that dice and risk that they're going to infect the Steelers, and then they've got a bigger problem. They're hoping this is a one-game deal. They can easily move this game around, switch 2 different games, and boom, they've got it. This serves as those teams' off week. So they're hoping that this is the end of it, and they can get that facility in Tennessee sanitized and back in. And Mike Vrabel said today they're probably going to have some different protocols when they go back in there to try to ensure. I know the virus wins out, but do some other risk mitigation things they can to try to prevent this from happening again. But it is concerned. Like, we knew this was going to happen at some point. It's happened. Now they'll try to do what they can to prevent it from happening again, and they'll go back and try to figure out how it started, how it got in there, and how it spread, and all those sorts of things, so they can keep it from happening at other places.
Shireen, obviously, the healthiest teams are usually the ones who win in the postseason. But this year in particular, with the amount of injuries that have gone on because of the, truncated offseason, to say the least, and how strange it was, how many guys have been hurt, is this going to be a season where the teams that are also the most savvy with some of those waiver wire and practice squad signings are going to be the teams that last the longest?
Yeah, I think you're right. Probably more so than other years, and the way you can use your practice squad, sign those guys to the practice squad, and protect them on the practice squad. I think all those things are really important, and probably more so than it's ever been. And just having the depth, because you're going to have guys who go out with COVID. And the numbers, except for Tennessee this week, the numbers have been really low on COVID, but we know those things are going to go up, and they're going to fluctuate. And we're going to have a second wave, and guys are going to go on the COVID list. And there are going to be teams that are going to try to play. There are going to be games that they're going to try to play with guys on the COVID list. And, the big thing is keeping your quarterbacks healthy. And whether that means injury or COVID or whatever, you want to keep your quarterback on the field. I mean, you look at a team like Denver, which plays tonight. I mean, they've started 3 quarterbacks now. And you just can't do that and be successful in the NFL. So there's no question that I agree with you that we've seen more injuries, and the injuries in COVID probably are going to help determine the teams that end up in the playoffs and have a chance to win it in the end.
You mentioned time of possession, and I saw you retweet something. David Hellman had put up a quote from Dak Prescott. And I mean, it just like slaps you right in the face, doesn't it? The Cowboys seem to be better when Dak is flying up and down the field with all these receivers and stuff. And yet, man, it's kind of like the Big 12 teams back in the day. Or what, you can score quickly, but then you put your defense back. And we now see that even in the SEC, Shireen, with what Mississippi State did to LSU. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, no question about it. And, again, there's going to be quarterbacks they play that can't take advantage of that secondary, and it's going to work very well. And I do think they're going to have some blowouts. Giants probably being a good example. I think they'll blow out the Giants. I don't think they'll have any problem with that philosophy working. But I think they need to get, and again, we go back to the offensive line. I realize that's been an issue. Eventually, they need to get Ezekiel Elliott the ball in his hands. I think they're a better team when he touches the ball 20, 22, 23 times a game, however you do that. And he doesn't have 100 yards rushing yet this season. And they need that. To me, they need that. And they need to run that time of possession. They need to stop playing from behind, as they've done in every single game. So to me, it's a hard way to make your living in the NFL, to just constantly throw the ball, which they've done. They've gone 494, 474, and 476, I think. Well, that was last year's passing yards. But after 3 games last year, they had 1,444 passing yards and 1,472. But the disparity on the passing is what really stands out. They did it more. They had 200 more rushing yards last year at this point than they do now. They've got to rush the ball better than what they have so far.
Shireen, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
It's one of the days that she's not on NBC Sports, and appreciate that. She's available for us, and she was able to move the segment back as well. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, will join us. So I just got a guest that looks like he's going to be a part of our show tomorrow that will be a lot of fun to hear from. We'll let you know more about that once we get complete confirmation on it. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Got a text today from Braden Embry, and just a nice text. He's the guy that I went to visit. Of course, his father, John, and the great company and family that has been running Pioneer Steel and Pipe for 77 years. Metal buildings, design it and build it. Metal roofing, quality protection every day. Pipe and steel, structural standard. Purlin, tubing, beams and wild plates, H-braces, fence posts, culverts and gates, sheet and expanded metal. They have big, heavy equipment. Serving Central Texas since 1943. What you need to build a metal building, you need the product. You need the advice. You need help with maybe even a contractor. They can help you with that. Objective is to make sure that you leave Pioneer satisfied that you have been taken care of the right way every single time. Building relationships, business partners for 77 years. Over the years, reputation has been building one customer at a time, referred to as Boys at Pioneer or pioneerboys.com online. No matter what you call Pioneer Steel and Pipe, they are great at what they do. From a firm handshake the old-fashioned way to a cup of coffee and maybe even a bag of popcorn. Respect the needs of you, the customer, and it's how can we help you? Metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel. Locations in Bryan and Waco open Saturdays 8 until noon. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com.
Mazzana Construction is celebrating 52 years as an award-winning, family-owned and operated business excelling in general construction and construction management. Mazzana Construction is proud to support Connolly ISD's tradition of excellence in education and athletics, including owners calling Connolly High their alma mater, Vicky Mazzana, class of 1974, and Aaron Miner from the class of 2002. Mazzana Construction, celebrating 50-plus years by building trust with quality work. MazzanaConstruction.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
Here's one caught. And now toward the end zone, a flag is down. It's Wilson again.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
We'll have Mickey Spagnola momentarily. The baseball playoffs, Astros, of course, cleaned up their business with the Twins, and they already are into the next round. Right now, the White Sox and the A's, Game 3, series tied at 1 apiece. A's lead 4-3. They just scored 4 runs in the 4th, top of the 5th, White Sox at the plate. Tonight, Cardinals and Padres. Cardinals up 1-0. Tonight, Brewers and Dodgers. Dodgers up 1-0. Final, Braves beat the Reds and win their series 2 straight, 5-0 over Cincinnati. Marlins and the Cubs have been postponed because of rain. Marlins lead that series 1-0. They'll play tomorrow, Game 2. So that's what's going on when it comes to Major League Baseball as people try to get into the next round. And I did hear, and there was this Carlos Correa, Craig, you brought up the quote from Carlos Correa Yeah, that wasn't very smart. And he doesn't care. Neither do the Astros, and the fans love it, the chip on the shoulder. But it was just like you just poked the bear. You just kicked the fire ant hill. There was no need for that, even if you think you had a right to get a little bit bitter.
I just, I know Astros fans probably ate it up or whatever. Like, yeah, we showed you. I don't know. I think it was just a silly comment because they haven't gone and won anything yet. So I don't know if making a comment like that's really best reserved for a first-round playoff series versus maybe go win the World Series, and then you can say something like that, and it would make a bit more sense because, like, hey, you ran the gamut and you defeated all comers or whatever. But I don't know. That's kind of, I think, why people dislike them is kind of that attitude of like, yeah, we did it, so what? And now what? Kind of a deal. And so I found the comments to be really dumb, but, that's just me.
I never thought something could make me want to pull for the Yankees more than somebody else.
There you go.
But there you go.
We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, who's monitoring that Sox game with the White Sox game with the Athletics right now. A's just scored 4 in the top of the 5th. That series 1 apiece. Mickey, was this White Sox team one you could even really pay much attention to because of the way the season went down, and excited about what? I know you're a big Sox fan.
Yeah, it was just kind of keeping up with them on box scores and results, and they kind of meandered along, and then all of a sudden they hit a hot streak, and it was like, oh my gosh, look at this, they're in first place. And then right at the end of the season, they ended up losing 8 of the last 10, and I was like, oh. It was like after they clinched the playoff spot, and I said, okay, well, they're gonna win the division, and then they ended up finishing a game out. But yes, that's why when Paul initially called me on the other landline that we've been using, I missed the call because I was watching the game on my laptop.
Well, just an update for you. Nomar Mazara, former Ranger, just knocked in a run, and it's 4-4 now. So,
there you go.
Very good. That's where I left it. He was coming to bat. Yeah, better than giving up a 2-run homer and walking 2 guys in the previous inning, huh?
Absolutely.
Gosh.
All right, Mickey. The defense. I need you to fix it. I need you to fix it. I need you to fix it right now. Okay, I give you 2 ways to fix it. Number one, make sure you're not busting coverages. As I've told people, it's one thing to get beat physically by a wide receiver. It's another thing to social distance in the secondary. That doesn't count for football. They were just busting coverages. Guys are running wide open. If you think about the touchdown passes he threw, Russell Wilson threw in that game, only one was somewhat contested, and he was still a step or 2 away. The other ones, there was nobody in the zip code. They were so far beaten. So, yeah, and you can't make mistakes like that. Then the other thing to help the defense out is quit turning the ball over. They're -4 in the turnover differential right now, and that's tied for last. They've got 6 turnovers. That's next to last, and the only 2 teams with more are their fellow members of the NFC East, Washington and the Giants. And if you look at 5 of the turnovers they've had, because the last one there was really no possession after it, right, in Seattle. 5 of those turnovers, 4 of them have led to an opponent's touchdown and 1 to a field goal. That's 31 points they basically set up on a tee for the opposing team. So, and if you count the 2 from the safety when they fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line and recovered it, that's 33 points. That's a third of the points they've given up have been set up by turnovers. So to me, quit turning the ball over and quit making mistakes in coverage on defense, because they finally started getting to the quarterback. But, boy, they just – you can't bust that many coverages, and that was the shame of it.
Mickey, did you expect Dak to lead them on a game-winning drive last week?
Oh, absolutely did. And they were motoring right along until the play breaks down, and he should have been sacked, right? Mm-hmm. The game would have been over. And somehow, some way, he miraculously spins out of it, and then has to put his hand down on the ground to keep from going down, and ends up throwing a desperation pass in the end zone. But they marched right down. What did they go from the 25 to the 25?
Yeah.
They went 50 yards. and unfortunately, they couldn't come up with the last play, but the protection broke down. He did his job, but he ain't playing, as Bill Parcells would say, he's not out there playing singles.
Yeah, and aren't they we just had Shireen Williams on for a little bit, and she was talking about time of possession. When they are in their up-tempo offense, I mean, they're hard to beat. Now you got Cedric Wilson and plays he's making. Noah Brown caught a big third down pass that kept the drive alive. It's one of those things that that's what they're doing well right now, and they're also sometimes playing catch-up. But is that leaving that vulnerable defense on the field when you have to go up and down the field as fast as they're trying to do?
Well, I mean, David, I don't know that they sped up to have a 2 or 3 play touchdown drive, right? It's like, no, Cedric Wilson, take a knee.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they're running no huddle offense all the time. It's just that they've made big plays. I think they've got what did I see? 17. They've got 18 plays of 20 yards or more. So that's not because they're hurrying up. They're just making big plays, and so you're not on the field as much. That had more to do with it than anything else. That the defense couldn't get off the field. They were just scoring. Now the other part of that is when you turn the ball over, you're not going to have as much time possession, and that's where the discrepancy has occurred.
Mickey, DeMarcus Lawrence, I know 2 days in a row, no practice. Tyron Smith. Are they optimistic on Tyron Smith, or is this more just get him back in?
No, Tyron practiced on a limited basis today. So yesterday he was out there, did individual, did the skeleton drills when it's just the offense together. Today, as Mike McCarthy said, he would participate in 11-on-11. So he was going to get, and the limited part was he didn't take every snap probably in 11-on-11 when they went team. But he got enough, and I think they're optimistic that he's going to make it. DeMarcus Lawrence was still doing rehab today. So I don't know if they're just kind of saying, okay, do what you need to do to be ready to play on Sunday. So I think the key thing will be what he's able to do Saturday if he can get out there just on a limited basis. I think they're hopeful, but I'm not sure they're absolutely counting on it. And sure would help if he was out there because they're gonna play a different offense this week. They've been playing these teams that want to go 3 wide, spread you out, and you're in nickel defense. Well, I don't think that's what Cleveland does. They want to run the ball. They actually, this last game, used the fullback 17 snaps. So you might need another linebacker. And one of the ways they've been creating a strong side linebacker has been using Aldon Smith and then using 2 other defensive ends on the 4-man front. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust to a team that would rather run the ball than sling it around.
Mickey, we were just kind of riffing on the Cowboys earlier, and somehow or another we got on Connor Williams. How do you feel about the way he's played so far?
I think he's been fine. I think he's become everybody's punching bag.
Yes.
If you need somebody to punch, look at the center, Joe Looney. They need to be better there. Connor Williams is not perfect. He's not a Pro Bowler, but I guarantee you he's as good as the majority of the guards in this league. Now, does he get beat every once in a while? Yeah, he gets overpowered. But again, there's got to be sometimes the centers helping the guard. And so if you go back and look at the Rams game, they were absolutely attacking the center. They were lining guys up to the left, to Connor Williams' left, and they were making a beeline to go at Joe Looney. So that's one to keep your eye on. Connor Williams not the problem. Those 2 offensive tackles that had only played 2 games in their career. Now that's where Myles Garrett's going to probably be attacking, but it looks like Tyron's going to go. The problem they're going to be in. One of the reasons why they're going to keep, I think, Zach Martin at guard is Sheldon Richardson. Cleveland has 8 sacks. 3 of them Myles Garrett, and 2 of them are Sheldon Richardson inside. That's 5 of the 8 right there between 2 guys.
Mickey, thank you, man. Great to have you on the show as always. Mickey Spagnola with us, DallasCowboys.com on Thursdays at 4:30. Cowboys play home against Cleveland. And I looked at that, how And then you start thinking about, they got the running back in Chubb, who's very good. And then, of course, Myles Garrett. And
they got two backs.
Yeah. So I was on a podcast with some Cleveland Browns guys last night, and I did a major faux pas. Because I thought, I heard your voice in my head saying, how do you do this as a Cowboys fan every week? And I said, look, it's exhausting being a Cowboys fan. This, this up and down, and are they good or they're not? And they said, yeah. We don't feel bad for you.
No, how do you do that? Yeah, you're telling that to a Cleveland Browns
I said, you know what I realized? This is me like going to the hotel and being, there's no HBO in my room.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Yeah. Now, coming up, we'll have a couple of high school coaches, right? We have Midway's Jeff Hume and also Ray Biles of Lorena. We'll have Pick'em at 5. Sam Bradshaw will join us today at 5:30. He is brilliant at breaking down or looking at advances and previews of Baylor, West Virginia. Craig has a column today. Paul, you had the one on the NCAA, and he has a column about Baylor facing that front of West Virginia that tormented Charlie Brewer, the Sills brothers, that tormented. What was it, 8 sacks or so last year in that game?
8 last year. They had 5 the year before, 5 the year before that. So I said somewhere in there they've totaled like 18 or 19 sacks and 36 tackles for loss in the last 3 meetings for West Virginia's defense.
All right, one quick note of breaking news, and then we break. Doc Rivers is hired as Philadelphia? Is that right? The head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Now he's kind of a guy who's successful, but he's never been to the finals. And he's one of the retreads.
Well, he won the title with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's
he won the
that's
title
a
with
pretty
the
good
Celtics,
little run there.
But he didn't with the Clippers.
The Clippers, and he had that team with Kawhi.
And so the Sixers are trying to get some of that Celtics magic in with their team that they've spent a lot of money on to make good all of a sudden.
I like him. I do like him. I like him as a person. I don't agree with everything he has to say, but I like Doc Rivers.
I mean, I don't dislike him. I'm not fond of him. I'm nothing really for him. I like him more than I don't like him, I guess. But I snore as much on the Doc Rivers news, more so on just the NBA in general right now. Because after last night, I'm not watching another second probably of this series because I don't think it's going to be close.
If I don't watch another second, that means I won't watch any of it because I didn't watch last night. I just didn't.
You missed a little bit early on, but not much late.
It was 10-10, and then I saw the kind of score come rolling through. All right, coming up, we'll hear from Midway's Jeff Hume and Ray Biles of Lorena, and then we'll have our high school football pick'em. Among many things, Sam Bradshaw on Baylor in West Virginia, 5:30, Sikkim, 365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing right down the street on East Bridge Street from us here at our studios. David Stoneking came here last night. He brought us a much-needed mini fridge for the Fantasy Football Show, which they are a sponsor of. But they've got a cool event going on this weekend. They've got their Oktoberfest event down at the brewery on East Bridge Street. They're going to have 310 barbecue out there serving food. They're going to have all kind of cool Oktoberfest activities. That's going to be 4 to 9 on Saturday. So you can watch the Baylor game. You can come on down to East Bridge Street to Brotherwell Brewing. More information at brotherwell.com and have some of their fantastic beer and have some of the food there. It's going to have some good times. We've all been cooped up for a while. Go on out there to Brotherwell Brewing and enjoy the Oktoberfest event. And they're going to have their Fest beer out there that's just released, and that's their take on the Oktoberfest style beer, and that's what they're going to do and celebrate the Oktoberfest party. But you can have anything that they have there, the Active Faith, the Shelter and Haze, the Low Earth Orbit, the Texas Forever, the Hidden Herd. I had some of the Hidden Herd during the show last night. Brotherwell Brewing. Get more information on at brotherwell.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How do you get the job done? With power. Get all the power you need in a new Ram. Alan Samuels presents Ram Power Days. Extra special savings and special factory financing on all new models. Hauling families to great places. Doing chores, working hard. Alan Samuels will help you get the job done. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We delivered. Alan Samuels, official auto dealer of the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hi, this is Jeff Hume, head football coach at Midway High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Midway Panthers football coach Jeff Hume is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine, Automatic Chef, Bert Colgin Ford, Barrera's Landscape and Nursery, Petty Clinic Low T, Halo Athletic Center, First National Bank of Central Texas, Camille Johnson Realtors.
You've waited as long as anybody by the time you play on Friday against Westlake, more than anybody else in the state, basically. Your thoughts about the fact it's a game week, even though you kind of, in a way, had the appetizer against Round Rock last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think, like everybody, we're just thrilled and excited to be playing football. And obviously against a quality opponent like Westlake, with what they bring to the table and their history and everything, it's going to be great for us, and it's going to be great for our kids.
Your thoughts about, this is nothing new. One of the things, people look at names of teams that are in your district, Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Duncanville, and yet you have a history with the time you've been there, the time before that Midway plays good people, and they've beaten good people. Is this part of the plan that you play whoever you can to get ready for the games that matter?
Well, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, we've got, two really quality non-district opponents in Westlake and South Grand Prairie and even Round Rock last week. I mean, those are three big programs. They got a lot of kids in their programs and a lot of tradition in all three of those programs. So we purposely planned that to get us ready for this gauntlet of the district we're going to be in. I mean, anybody that we play in district is not going to be any better or worse than the three teams that we're playing right now.
You've made a change at quarterback with Garrett Childers now, and then obviously with what Jared Moore brings to the table is athleticism, open field. You've got Gibson, you've got Stewart. Was that just to get more weapons on the field and also let Childers do what he can do?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, like any good coaching staff, we're trying to get the best 11 on the field. And by doing that, sometimes you got to make some changes and you got to, move people around to get the best 11 on the field, because sometimes, your best 11 is, somebody behind somebody playing a different position. So you got to do that. We got to do that defensively too sometimes. And we're just trying to put the best 11 out there to give us the best chance.
One thing, Jeff, obviously you play Friday, and that's the season opener. How have your players in the end? We've talked about Baylor and how the delays that they've had to go through. Houston football, what they've had to go through. How have your players handled the constant change and delay?
I think our players have been great. I think they've been doing everything they're told to do. Wearing their masks in school, wearing their masks when they're out and about. We've got about, just on average, I think here at Midway is 1 or 2 kids a week that get it or have been in contact with us. So we're having to, quarantine those people every once in a while and get them out of the way and so they can get better. And our kids have handled that well. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like I told them, it's a bump in the road that, you can't avoid. I mean, it's here. We've got to deal with it. Let's don't let it define who we are and just get better each week.
Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Hi, this is Ray Biles, head football coach at Lorena High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Lorena Leopards football coach Ray Biles is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Sikkim 365 Radio, Lorena coach Ray Biles joins us here. And, Coach, your team really on a nice little roll the last few games, winning over Madisonville and an Academy, but now it's Troy coming at you. And this is a team that's 2-2, but they have Zach Herbacek, who is one of the best running backs in the state. This has got to be an exciting one to prepare for, but a tough one to prepare for, I'm sure.
Well, exactly. I mean, he is blessed. That guy can go. We're going to have to rally to the ball. We've got to get a lot of people to the football because, if he gets in a one-on-one situation, he's going to win most of those just either with a move or just sheer power. And then once he gets in the open field, he can go. So it's going to be a challenge for our defense to step up to be able to contain him. Like you said, he's one of the best ones in the state. So we've seen some good backs this year, but I don't know that we've seen one quite like him. So we will have our hands full Friday down in Troy.
When you play a team that's offense runs, so much through one guy, you know that there's going to be moments where he gets his because he's just that kind of an athlete. Is the key kind of limiting those moments and then once you do, matching and surpassing?
Well, I think the thing that we have to do is we can't give up home runs. If we can force him to snap the ball again, and that means we got to contain him. He may get 6, he may get 8, he may get 12. We don't need him to go 93 on one play. And, that's the huge part of it is you've got to contain talent like that and make them drive the ball. If they have to snap it again, then we've got a chance for a penalty. We got a chance for a turnover. We got a chance for a big play defensively. But, if they take it to the house in one play, there's not much you can do but send your kickoff return team out there.
Is your team, after the last couple of weeks, are they at a point maturity-wise where you can see that they're ready for whatever is in front of them?
Well, they're improving each week, and I think that's the critical thing that we really stress with our kids right now. It's not really who we play, it's how we play, and we've got to do a much better job of cleaning things up with penalties and some other things that we can control. There are enough variables out there we have no control over, but one that we do control is how well we can play and how hard we can play after play after play. So, those are the things we're going to stress with our kids because, if you sit there and try to define the level of your opponent, you're wasting your time because they can all beat you. They can all beat you on any Friday night. So we've just got to try to do what we can do to improve each week and stay healthy and see where we go.
Now that you're in the district, and you've been here for a couple weeks, but did the season, even though it was so weird to start out, but does the season feel different for you and your guys that it's now it counts?
It does. Anytime you get into district, it's everything's on the line now, and our kids understand that. We had a few ball games early in the season to try to wiggle the personnel and look at some different situations on who can play where and what they can do. But, now, we got all the tamales out there on the table. We got to go. And so, our kids understand what's at stake, and you don't want to get behind in a district and depend on someone else to beat somebody else if you have a chance. So, anyway, at this point in time, everybody in our district controls their own destiny. They just got to go out and play ball, and we're just one of those 6 teams in our district.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Here's Gaither off the right side, has room. Gaither might go right up the gut at the 20. Gaither 15 inside the 10. He will score. Touchdown. 68 yards, and Paul Catalina, they went to the H-back and they pounded the left side of the La Vega defensive line.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
I mentioned earlier we have a guest that will be with us tomorrow until I get confirmation on the exact time. It'll be fun to hear from him, and then boy, some great news starting next week with another segment we'll have here on many things Baylor, college football, and football in general. And we'll have that for you. Maybe even give that to you at some point by tomorrow. So maybe even tonight, I'm hoping. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, I'm David Smoke, and we're about to do Pick'em. This is week 6, and the big boys started last week, so we added 5As and 6As. And I'm looking at one right off I don't know if it's the first game or not. It's not. But the Geyer and Ryan game, very intriguing. Both teams are loaded. Denton Ryan, 5A. I saw them on television last week. They smoked Arlington Martin, and Geyer beat Hebron 56-33. That's our good Rodney Webb.
Yeah.
Now, at Geyer, who was at Royce City, and he was at Rockwall and Skeethorn. All right, here we go. I got a little bit of a sizable lead, so you guys got to play a little catch-up here. Opening game, Paul Catalina, Judson at DeSoto.
I'll take DeSoto.
Craig?
DeSoto.
So will I. Craig, Cedar Hill at Arlington Colts.
Turn the horns loose. Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill.
Waco High at Hutto. I love that they won their opening game, but I think Hutto, even though they got thumped by College Station, is probably going to win that game, so I'll take Hutto.
Taking Hutto.
I'll also take Hutto.
Your delay there? All right. Tyler High, Tyler Legacy, John Tyler versus Robert E. Lee.
I'll take Tyler.
Craig?
Legacy.
I'll take Legacy as well. John Tyler was beaten what? They got 41-21 in their opening game. Stephenville at Brownwood. This is you, Craig.
I'll take Stephenville.
So will I.
Stephenville.
We've been picking them week after week after week. They're like 2-3 or something.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan at Geyer. And I initially put down Ryan. I'm going to go change my pick. I'm going to take Geyer. Paul?
I'll take Ryan.
Craig?
Take Ryan.
All right. Westlake at Midway. Midway opened up in a way, kind of a they played around walk. They were beaten if the scoreboard mattered, and was like a real full game. They've gone to Garrett Childers at quarterback.
I will take Westlake.
Taking Austin Westlake.
So will I. Round Rock, I'm just speaking to them, playing at home against Belton. I'll take Round Rock. Paul?
Round Rock.
Craig?
Round Rock.
Now, this is one of those that gets personal. The Mighty Rohawks at home against the team out of the Army base, Fort Sam Houston.
Shaq's alma mater.
Shaq's alma mater. This personal because I know both of you have picked against my alma mater on occasion. And so you have an opportunity here, Paul, to make the first choice.
One of my favorite athletes when I was a kid was Shaq. And if I meet him, I don't want him to think that I,
turned your back on him.
I turned my back on him, and I've met you.
Would you even notice?
I'm never gonna not meet you.
Like
I can't unmeet you. So I'm gonna go with Shaq.
Craig?
I'm going to take Randolph.
See, that's where blood comes into play right there. The Rohawks. I'm taking the Rohawks.
I'm willing to lose this game just for this bit. I mean, what's it going to make a difference with me right now?
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. This series has been going on since like 1960, and it's an absolute dominant series. But Cole has won more often than they needed to lately.
Yeah.
All right, this is a great one in 4A. Carthage at Pleasant Grove. This is, Craig, your turn.
Carthage.
Oh, Carthage.
Connolly home against Robinson. Robinson did not stop the run last week in their loss to Burnett, and that's pretty much what Connolly does. So I'm going to take Connolly.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I'm taking Connolly. I liked how they looked a couple weeks ago. They've had now an open week and should be primed and ready to go.
Paul Canton at Hillsboro. Just a random game.
Yeah,
it's very random.
It's very random. I don't know.
Well, Hillsboro's in our area.
Yeah, I'll take Hillsboro.
Okay.
I don't really know how it's going to go. I'll just take Hillsboro as just being nice.
I'm going to take Hillsboro.
So will I. All right, Craig. Whitney at Grandview. Wasn't this the team that Whitney beat them last year in the regular season, or beat them in last year? But
I'm going with Grandview.
So will I.
Yeah, Grandview.
Yo at Rockdale. I'm surprised Corby he sent me a couple of texts.
Mm-hmm. Battle of the Bells.
He's kind of jumped off that Yo thing. Yeah, he's kind of jumped into that Zach Robochik trope.
Well, I mean, he's got his kids. He's got this problem. He's got his kids.
It's a big conflict of interest. He told me he really would rather root for Yo than his son's team. They're going to play each other. I'm going to take Yo.
I'll take Yo.
I'm taking Yo. Rockdale's been through a lot
Yeah,
lately.
they have. Yeah. They've been giving up a lot of they've been giving up points, and McGregor put up 49 against them. All right, this is one that I've struggled with this one. Paul, this is your turn. McGregor at Academy. McGregor put up 49 on Rockdale. They got me nervous. I'm nervous. I don't care who wins the game.
And Academy was they were rolling along pretty good there. I'm going to take McGregor in this one though.
Craig,
I'm going to take McGregor.
I already have it down. I don't like the pick. I'm going to take. I think maybe McGregor's going to overwhelm them with points. Although Academy.
So you and I are wrong, Paul. That's basically what.
No.
Oh no! If you get it wrong, you'll be one closer to us.
Lorena at Troy.
Alabama missed an extra point and only won by 38.
That score with Missouri is very misleading. Like 35-3. All right, Craig, it's you. Lorena at Troy.
Oh, man, I've gone back and forth on this one quite a bit. I know Zach Krabachik's a great back. Lorena's 3-1. Got to go with what I don't need to put it down an answer, honestly. It's the only game I hadn't filled out, but I'm going to go with Troy, I guess.
I'm going to say Lorena.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Lorena. Talking to Ray Biles, which you just heard, their key is they're going to accept the fact that he's going to get 12-yard runs. What they don't want him to go is 93 yards, which he can very easily do. If they can contain the big play, I think Lorena can win this game. I think they do. And remember, Lorena's dropping down a level this year, so I like Lorena. I like him to have a really good year, and I think this guy.
You know who their quarterback is? Smetshammer. Remember him, the backup safety for Midway last year. Rogers at home against Clifton, and I took Rogers. Paul.
I'll take Rogers.
Paul, Thorndale at Holland. You got your turn.
I'll take Holland.
All right. They've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'll still take Holland.
They lost to Hearn 21-20.
I'm taking Thorndale.
All right, Craig, I'm going to take Holland. This one here, Wortham at home against Hubbard. Is this, Craig, your turn?
It doesn't matter. I'll take Hubbard, whatever.
Okay, I'll take Wortham. Paul?
I'll take Wortham.
And then Blum at Abbott. And this is mine, and I'm going to take – Blum's a defending state champion. I'm going to go with Abbott. You've jumped on and off that bandwagon.
I'm jumping back on Redheaded Strangers.
All right, Craig?
Abbott.
Okay. All right. That's where we are.
Armstrong, by the way, their name is not the Redheaded Strangers. Has been on that for a while. It's not going to happen, but – the more I say it, the maybe, I can wish it out there.
You can?
I don't know. Like Oprah had that book where it was, I don't know what it's called. It's like the wish or the I don't know, where it's just if you put something out in the world, if you say it, if you verbalize it, you can make it happen. I mean, it's hokum, but,
So basically speak it to existence?
Yeah, speak it to existence.
So it's basically ripped that off and then, put her name on it and it turned into a whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, but things have worked out for Oprah, so,
Have they?
I mean, she's a billionaire.
She's kind of off the radar now, isn't she?
Probably what you want to be when you're a billionaire and you don't have to work anymore.
She's got Apple paying her money to do like an interview series now. I'm sure. I mean, she's just banking on that. I mean, she just pops up when she wants to.
Is she a player? Is she like is she like relevant?
She'll always be relevant. She's Oprah.
Here's how there was a time when it seemed like she was.
Well, she was on TV all the time. She's still Oprah. I mean, like Obama's not in office anymore, but he's still a gigantic celebrity. You know.
But see, what Oprah can do is she can call up anybody and say like, "Here's what I'd like to do. Give me money for it," and then they'll be like, "All right."
But what if it's a guy has more money or a woman has more money than she does? And there's like three people on earth that do.
Apple does. And they're like, we want, we can make money together. So they're getting their TV subscriptions up because Oprah's doing this interview series where Emmanuel Acho was on 2 of them.
He's really a rising voice in the media. No question about it. Former University of Texas football player. All right, that's the pick'em for the week. Sam Bradshaw at 5:30, he'll join us. He wanted me to make sure that I kind of is it the Sills brothers and Baylor's offensive line? Is that like where this whole thing starts?
Yeah. I mean, that was why West Virginia, who is a team that was behind Baylor when it came to overall ability. That's why that game was close, was because of that. Because those guys dominated the offensive line. They dominated them.
Yeah, they could not keep him upright. That was a bad deal.
If I was anybody who's back on that offensive line that played in that game last year, it would be personal to me because they got embarrassed.
Well,
they won the game. But
I don't know if Bettier played or not. I can't remember. He was.
But anybody who played in that game last year that's playing in this game this year, it would be personal to me because it would stick in my craw that they had such a bad game. And I'm not trying to call them out. I mean, look, things happen, but like just saying if that was
that was a bad day.
It was a bad day.
Luckily for Baylor, they were able to still, like they did Texas Tech, like they did Iowa State. Those were 3 games that could have gone either way. And, of course, the Oklahoma losses could have gone either way as well. So The Rock announcing, we just had Chris Platt on talking about the XFL. They aren't going to play this year. They won't play next year. They will return in 2022. And I got to say something here. That's great, and he's got all the money in the world too. But, God, that's
Well, I think
if you're Chris Platt, you're not playing. You haven't played in a year, and now you're not going to play. It's going to be another year, and then another year.
Yeah, but The Rock's not worried about Chris Platt.
No, I know.
I mean, he doesn't care.
Is it
ever going to happen?
Yeah, what the press release said though is they couldn't, because of the pandemic and the way that they had to transition the ownership. They could not scramble enough team employees to get ready for a February to April season, which they would have had this year had Vince McMahon not run this thing into the rocks. So, and plus with, they have to hire all new people. It's not like you just hire Oliver Luck back. Oliver Luck is locked in a wrongful termination suit with Vince McMahon for like $24 million, of which Vince McMahon only got 15 for the league. So he either has to give all that money back to Oliver Luck plus $9 million. It's going to be weird to see.
The money doesn't matter for Vince. They're richer than ever, even though the product's worse than ever. I definitely do not watch WWE on a regular basis. I follow through reading stuff, but I do not watch it. I don't enjoy it anymore. But he's the richest he's ever been. Well, I take that back. He was actually on the billionaires list. Like the last few years, he dropped off of that.
Damn.
But he is loaded. They're a publicly owned company. He and Triple H, who's his son-in-law, and Stephanie, his daughter, they're constantly selling 2,000 shares for hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're just it's a very profitable company right now because of their TV deals. They sign TV deals that I can't believe the networks actually gave them, given the ratings they get. It's incredible how they pulled that off, and that's probably why they hired the guy who got him the TV deal to an actual real job for them. But yeah, The Rock, I have a lot of faith in. I think why rush it just to get it wrong again? So take your time, get it right, get the right people in place. Nobody's clamoring for the XFL right now, nor will they ever be. So, surprise some people in 2022 and do it the right way, and maybe it'll be something that lasts. And I think they have a better opportunity of being perhaps a minor league system with the NFL now with The Rock in charge versus obviously the NFL having no interest when Vince McMahon was in charge.
By the way, Mike George, thank you for watching and listening to us. I think still in Dayton, Texas. He just tuned in. He said, I have you guys on YouTube on my 75-inch HD screen.
Oh, wow.
That's a dude now. And Mike George, we appreciate it. Mike's been a long-time listener, and we appreciate you, Mike. He sent a picture to Brian. He's also sent one to me of the flat screen, the 75. How big is this one? Like 60?
Yeah, I think it's 60, right?
Something like that?
I'm not sure. Probably about 65.
Yeah. He's got a 75-inch HD screen, and he's watching this show. Thank you very much for doing that as well. Now, college football's playoff rankings, the fact that they're ranking the Big Ten, we've discussed that amongst the three of us, taken text or whatever, and we heard from Max Olson on that. It's insane now how they have now started to bend to what the Big Ten decided they were going to do. And I understand eventually if they're going to play games and they're going to get it under the belt, underneath the guideline or the schedule, okay. But why rush them into the top 25? It doesn't make any sense. And now the college football playoff rankings, which is something that I have not watched since 2014, will be released on November 24th, which is that week, I guess, of Thanksgiving. Initially, it was supposed to be the 17th. Now they've been moved back. Of course they moved it back because that then gives them evidence with the Big Ten, and even possibly the Pac-12 will have at least a couple of weeks under their belt as well.
Yeah. I still just watch the last one. That's all you need to.
I think it was what Brando said when he was on with us. I think he was talking about the TV ratings not being as high as they normally would be or parts of the country. So I think the NCAA is trying to garner interest there, even though there won't be another game for 3 weeks, by placing those teams that aren't playing into the poll. I think that's some of what's behind it. Because there's no other real argument to be made for them to be in a poll when they're not playing for 3 more weeks. It's silly. So I think it's a voter issue for one, because I don't know how so many voters are like, yeah, let's put Ohio State in there even though they're not playing for 3 more weeks. This doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense for teams that are not playing to be ranked above teams who have played like 3 games already and are 3-0. I don't give a damn what logo you have on your helmet. Like, that's silly, man. And there's no justification for it other than, well, we're going to set it up for – no, you're doing it because college football needs a little bit of attention from places they're not getting it right now. Let's just be honest about it. It all comes down to TV and money anyways, like everything else, and that's what this comes down to as well. The polls are a joke. They really are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I agree. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. What do we got here, Paul?
What is that? Me? Yeah. Okay. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, the name you know, and the dealership that will treat you with all kinds of great customer service. It's a kickoff savings event now at Richard Carr. All 2020 vehicles on their lot are priced to move, and if you're looking for the best truck, well, you're looking for a GMC. During the kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score huge savings like $8,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra, or $6,000 off the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. If you're ready to step up the ultimate luxury and style, let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you. They've got the XT4, XT5, 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Get yours today starting at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac, or find one of the best sedan values in the market with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995. They've got big selection, great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, plus VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. And they stand by to support all of their customers with award-winning service. Rich Car Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want the chance to earn your business now and with every car you or your family drives down the road. So stop by their showroom, which is disinfected daily, and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at richardcar.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Ellinger, crossing pattern, caught by Money.
That Ellinger had plenty of time.
Pressure again, in the end zone, caught, touchdown, Brennan Eagles.
The Sikkim 365 radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Kirk Bowles, longtime writer, columnist for the Austin American-Statesman, part of the Texas Sports Hall of Fame committee, and many other things as well. Joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Kirk, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Craig Paul and David Smoke. So is this week been a week where everyone's happy because of the comeback, or is there a lot of fingernail biting and nervousness because of what's going on with the UT defense?
Yeah, there was a little angst going on here in Austin Saturday and then beyond. So yeah, I think both of that carries forward. I really do. On one hand, you're thinking, hey, you're averaging 61 points a game. You ought to be able to go undefeated if you do that, right? And then they look on the other side and see 20 or more missed tackles, and they get a little nervous again. So it's a lot of both.
Do you think this is a function of just that, they've changed defensive coordinators and it's early and all the stuff that went on, or are they maybe lacking some talent on that side of the ball?
I don't really think it's talent so much, but they were bad last year. They led the league in missed tackles, about 12 a game, and that's kind of hard to overcome. So, part of it's a different style of tackling. Todd Orlando was more of the launch yourself, make the big hit, the big splash, and Chris Ash is more he calls it the rugby style. Pete Carroll used it a lot, gang tackling, and use your shoulders more. And, we all know the thing about no spring ball and limited practice in the fall getting ready, and nobody wants to have contact anymore. So, I think it's getting used to it. I think they have talent. I think there's more raw talent, and the technique is lacking at this point.
So now TCU up next, Kirk, and fair to say this team's been a little bit of a handful for the Longhorns, no matter what head coach has been on the sidelines or what the setting is or COVID being around or not. I mean, TCU, Texas typically seems to be a hard fight for the Longhorns.
Gary Patterson's had Texas' number. I mean, won 6 out of 8 since they started the Big 12 play with TCU, and he's 3-1 in Austin. So it's not just in Fort Worth games, and they look flat out, terrific against Texas last year. Sam Ellinger had a career high 4 interceptions, and playing good defense is nothing new for TCU. Obviously, they got 2 great safeties, probably the best safety tandem in America, in Trevor Mooring and Darius Washington, who was a freshman All-American. So they're so sound fundamentally on defense. They don't miss tackles. They don't usually hurt themselves. And, lately, even though they've kind of had a little bit of dip, guys, it hadn't been their defense. They just have had quarterback struggles since Teron Boykin left. And they've got a good one now, but he's still kind of learning on the job, and Max Dunning.
You are an AP voter, a top 25 voter. You're a part of many things, including the Earl Campbell Award as well. There are some that now have included the Big Ten, and, of course, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, whatever else. What has been your philosophy on that? I don't think I saw your vote. I don't think you've included them yet, have you?
I have not. You are correct. And, boy, I wrestled with that. I know I was going to get hammered either way. So, I go back to the preseason poll, guys, and I had Ohio State as my preseason number 1. So, obviously, I think highly of them. I had Penn State number 4. But when I got around to actually filling it out, I thought, they're still not going to play for a whole nother month. And I hated to penalize the teams that are playing now. They're taking the risk now that, have been in it from the get-go. So I kind of chose to reward more the teams that are playing. And plus, I've always kind of liked the underdogs to a certain degree, and it's kind of their moment in the sun for some of them, like, a Memphis, an Army, UCF. I think I have in my top 10 now. So, I will rank them eventually. I don't know when, but I think if my math is correct, I think there were like 11 of us that did not include any, Big Ten or Pac-12 teams. So, I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I don't know how you guys feel, but like I said, you're going to get criticized either way.
The problem I have, and we've discussed this as a group, is that they have nothing to lose for a month. 2-3 weeks.
You're forcing out teams who are going 3-0, 4-0, actually playing the games, and they're not getting in the top 25 because there's 6 teams from the Big Ten and the Pac-12 that are blocking them out
because of the name on their jersey, which is sometimes what the preseason poll can be anyway. But
Sure.
we're not in favor of them until they play a game. Let's see what they can do, especially in this year when we seem crazy.
I kind of agree with that. Like if I had Ohio State and Penn State in my top 10, and like you said, they're not going to lose. But then other teams, what do you do with them? It's just a mess. So I think it's kind of easier not to omit them. And then let's see what they do. Who knows? Big Ten, they may change their mind again by Tuesday.
Very true.
So I just didn't want to penalize the teams that are playing now. I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with you guys.
Is Texas's offense better because Tom Herman's not calling the plays right now?
Oh, I think Texas is better now because Sam Ellinger's a senior, and he's won 22 games here, and seems like he throws 5 touchdowns every game, which he's done his first 2 games. I think it helps. I think it helps that he's not as torn and distracted on the sidelines, and Mike Yurcich is calling the play. So I do think that helps. But so much of this is based on quarterback. I mean, if they didn't have Sam Ehlinger, I could call the plays and they wouldn't be any good, or Bill Belichick could maybe call the plays and they wouldn't be any good. But, I mean, if you have a Sam Ehlinger or a Charlie Brewer, people like that, that's, to me, so much more important than the play caller. But Tom will tell you, it helps. It helps his focus and able to delegate a little bit, and I think that was a smart thing.
That was in it nearly, and they came back and miraculous comeback and had to do a lot of things to do it, including the onside kick, which they gave one of those up. Ehlinger had thrown a bad pick in that game, and eventually he ends up with 3 extra touchdowns because he brings it back and then also won in overtime. He has been a good, and at times he has been really good, a quarterback at Texas. What happens, though, if he doesn't, and I don't know if he's going to play next year because everyone has a mulligan. What happens if he graduates without a Big 12 title? The ones, James Street, Vince Young, among some of the great names, of course, in Texas history. Or Colt McCoy played for one. Where does that put him, and how disappointing would that be?
Oh, I think we measure quarterbacks by championships. You're right, and I think his legacy has a hole in it. As good as he is and can be, he's still 22-13. So he has not been quarterbacking great teams, especially when he was a freshman when they went 7-6. So, but you're right. I mean, to me, James Street has never gotten his due, and he was 20-0 and won a national championship here and started the wishbone era. We all know how that did. So, he doesn't really like to talk about legacy and his spot in the history books and that sort of thing, but I think it'd be a really big void on that resume if he hadn't won a Big 12 title even yet. Not that anybody else has at Texas since 2009. So, I think that's something that really drives him, although I'd be shocked if he came back next year. I'd almost be shocked if anybody came back unless, they get totally academics and never want to play pro ball. But, I think this will be it for him.
Paul, anything else? Greg? All right. Hey, thanks very much, Kirk. Great to hear from you. How you been? You doing okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm hanging in. I went to Lubbock. So I've been to 2 Texas games already. I went to the Astros when they opened. So I've gotten to see a little bit of live sports, which gives me a little sense of normalcy.
Yeah, it does.
So I appreciate you asking.
Smell the fresh air. Thanks for your time. That's Kirk Bowles, columnist, Austin American statesman, involved in many things, AP voter, Heisman, Earl Campbell Award, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, among others. When we come back, he is downstairs in his science room charting out West Virginia. What does it all mean? How can they block the Sills brothers, or can they? Sam Bradshaw from SicEm365.com on SicEm 365 Radio is next.
I mentioned this yesterday, and I talked to him afterwards and told him he missed an opportunity, but I saw Lance Donaldson driving past our studio as I was getting here to the show yesterday. Lance is one of the best realtors that you're going to find, and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. You are going to want somebody in your corner who can, find all those cool things that you're not thinking of for your dream home. You're going to tell him what you definitely need and you want in your dream home, and then he's going to find some cool things you maybe even never thought you did. He's a great listener. You're going to have fun looking for houses, Lance, because he's just a fun guy to be around, and that's important. Where you spend a lot of time with a realtor, you're going to go to, I think when I bought my house, I might have gone to 35, 40 houses. I mean, it was a lot of houses I looked at, a ton. And you're going to want somebody who's going to know what you need, know what you want, and find those things that make that perfect dream home for you. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
How do you get the job done? With power. Get all the power you need in a new Ram. Allen Samuels presents Ram Power Days. Extra special savings and special factory financing on all new models. Hauling families to great places. Doing chores, working hard. Allen Samuels will help you get the job done. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We delivered. Allen Samuels, official auto dealer of the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Up tempo for Baylor. Ebner straight ahead. Johnson lassoed him from behind, but instead he pushes across for the Bears touchdown.
It's time for our weekly segment with Sam Bradshaw of Sikkim365.com.
All right, here we go. David Smoke, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, Sikkim 365 Radio. I've not mentioned Armstrong Sims shamefully over the first 2 hours and 35 minutes of the show. He has been here, as you see and view and hear. Well, all we hear because of him. Paul, of course, has a great deal to do with a lot of that setup as well. Colt Barber as well. Sam Bradshaw with us now on Sikkim 365 Radio. So last year, their defense, and Craig brought this up, their defensive front has tormented Baylor's offensive line and Charlie Brewer. Why, if that you think, why do you feel like that could change, or will it on Saturday?
First off, thanks for having me on. And to get right to the answer to your question, basically 80% of the offensive line starters are completely different than last year. And with the possible exception of replacing Tecklenburg at guard, with that possible exception, all of them are upgrades. I mean, people don't remember that Connor Galvin was out and Khalil Keith was doing his first start. And Bettier and Phillips hadn't played that much at that point. And you still had Frew Morgan at center, who was certainly struggling against Darius Stills. And this year, you've got Xavier Newman back with a ton of experience. Keith is more experienced. Bettier slides inside the guard, where some of the lateral movement he struggled with in that game will be a little mitigated. You add the UCLA tackle, and you get Galvin back. It's almost a completely different line. And West Virginia absolutely got after Brewer last year, but by the same token, they didn't have that much production in any of their other games. They'll still make some plays, but I don't think you're going to see it be quite so dramatic. And even in spite of that, Brewer completed around 77% of his passes, even during that game.
Sam, with Xavier Newman, Matt Rule had talked about him making the move to center long before he ended up taking the Panthers job, and it was a situation where they were hoping to redshirt Newman last year. He could play the 4 games, but they just couldn't afford it. They had to insert him and burn that year, and now we obviously didn't foresee the fact that he could still have 2 years like everybody else. But what makes Xavier Newman an ideal center for this group versus where we've seen him previously?
Well, I think he's a guy that has a lot of experience and athletically works well enough at both center and guard that he can be a really good starter for them at both. And I think that experience where at center, you're making the offensive line calls. You're having to call a lot of protections. You're having to do a lot to communicate against teams that show you one look, then they change. Getting everybody on the same page is critical. And that was a big problem against West Virginia last fall. The very first snap Baylor took, you had 4 of the offensive linemen blocking 3 guys. And all of a sudden, Bettier at right tackle has a guy coming outside of him and a guy coming inside of him. And there was no way he could make a proper decision on that. And Brewer immediately had somebody in his face, and he had to scramble away. I think they'll be a lot better than they were last fall. And I think having an experienced hand like Newman, who understands the protections, who understands and has been in the battles ever since 2017, will be a big key to that.
If Burton's not back, if they're down to their 3rd right tackle, does that concern you?
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
You never want to be playing your 3rd string tackle, and that's kind of the situation they were in last year.
Yeah, I mean, and they somehow, even though there was times last week it looked like it was somewhat confusing, they have more depth at that position, and they ran the ball well. How much does, if this team has the ability, which we won't know until we get more evidence, but if they have the ability, Sam, to run the ball with Lovett, and of course Ebner does all of it, but it looks like they were able to run the ball between the tackles, especially with Lovett. How much does that help with what West Virginia wants to do? I guess that's common sense. It has to help, correct?
It absolutely has to help, but the more that offensive line can protect and the more that offensive line can establish the run when they have the numbers to do so, that makes Larry Fedora's job easier. Because remember, Fedora is a guy that he's not going to follow it to an absurd degree, but he very much wants to take what the defense gives him. So if the defense is packing everybody inside because they desperately need to stop the run, he'll hit them outside or he'll hit them deep. If they're keeping everyone deep, he'll run it on you repeatedly. He doesn't care if he throws it 60 times or runs it 60 times. He's coming after you. Whichever way you leave open, he wants to get. And if you have a line that can perform that well, like he had a couple of his years at North Carolina, hold on if you're the defense.
Well, Sam, seeing what you saw from Fedora last week, what stood out to you? I mean, I know you've got great write-ups on the site for those, but for those listening maybe haven't got to read those, what stood out to you? And obviously we saw some of what, we're going to see the rest of the way. Not much was necessarily needed against Kansas.
Well, I saw him mixing up his formations, mixing up his tempo, and going with a lot of short passing concepts. So Baylor's not going to have as many long, big pass plays, but they're going to consistently hit these shorter concepts. They're going to stay on the field. Baylor, on 3rd down, I think they were 53%. And then when you include a couple 4th down plays into that average, you get about 60%. That's consistently moving the chains. Charlie was able to get the ball out of his hands. For all the issues they had on the offensive line with communication and the first game back, the only sack they gave up was when a converted corner at safety ran Charlie down from the backside when he was rolling out and held the ball a little long. So you just saw a number of things that Fedora does with compressed formations, short concepts, establishing different types of running attacks, where he went inside some, he went with GT counter a little bit else, and he also hit the edges a lot more than some of the prior Baylor staffs tended to do.
Did you like the way that Ron Roberts mixed things up on defense, even though they didn't really have to show that much this last week?
Ron Roberts had an outstanding game plan. Everybody's going to remember the safety where he was able to get his linebacker matched up on Kansas's younger running back, and it was not even a fair fight at that point, and linebacker was right in the quarterback's lap immediately. But one play that a lot of people might not have realized is there was a third down where Kansas threw a little swing screen to Puka Williams. Baylor got immediate pressure up the middle, but they dropped their 2 jack linebackers because they had that package in at the time. And one of them was right in Puka's face as he gets it. They were able to get pressure with 4 almost immediately, but also have somebody right in position to take him down.
Last year in that game that ended up with the last, minute, second, whatever field goal, Baylor dominated everything except, of course, they gave up all those sacks. 463 yards. They ran for 176. They only allowed 14 yards rushing. With what you've seen from West Virginia and Neil Brown's next year, they lost at Oklahoma State. They didn't put up much at all as far as offensively. What do you see that Baylor should be able to take advantage of defensively and what West Virginia's doing?
Well, when you look at West Virginia's offense, they're very much an air raid team from the Mike Leach tree, from the Dana Holgerson tree. They try and stay balanced, but most of their running game is going to be zone runs or split zone. And there were a lot of plays on those base zone runs where backside defensive end ran them down because nobody respected Daigie's ability to keep the ball. However, Daigie's a smart guy. He's a very accurate quarterback in the intermediate areas. His deeper passes can spray a little bit, and he's got some good weapons around him. But honestly, they're a team that can get you for a few big plays, but I just don't think their offensive line, much like Baylor's been over the last few years, I don't think their offensive line is quite where they want it to be. They lost an offensive tackle to the draft, and they lost another fifth-year senior, actually Joe Wickline's son, who was very reliable for them last fall, and I don't think they've been able to replace those guys yet. So getting pressure against them is going to be critical.
Sam, you've been obviously watching a lot of Baylor football over the years. Where does Terrell Bernard stack up as far as talent level, playmaking ability with some of the other standout defenders we've seen over time?
I think he's right there with a Clay Johnston or an Eddie Lackey or a Taylor Young. He is athletic. He's smart. He knows where to be. And he doesn't take false steps. I mean, you can make up for a couple tenths in your 40 if you're going in the right direction the majority of the time and you're not taking that extra split second to diagnose what's going on. He's effective in coverage. He's effective blitzing. He's effective making the tackle in open space. The guy's just everywhere, and Baylor's very, very fortunate to have him.
Yeah, he's so dominant. He is just big and fast. And we had Phil Bennett on earlier this week, and he was talking about Bernard, but even earlier today, C.J. Wilson was talking. Terrell Bernard has a chance to be great, great, not just good, but a great player. And all the hype, and a lot of times that doesn't work out. Anything else, Craig?
Yeah, Sam, secondary-wise, what do you see? I mean, obviously they've got, like a trio of wide receivers that are pretty good. Baylor, safeties, I guess, is one of the things that a lot of people pointed out, whether good or bad play last week. But just on paper, how do you think the secondary matches up with these West Virginia wide receivers?
Well, I think Baylor's got a couple athletic options on the boundary corner with Mark Milton and Kalen Barnes. Barnes is a little more seasoned, and Milton had a couple plays where it didn't go as well for him last week, but that's also your first game back and a couple things there. I think Baylor's really athletic at safety and at the star position. I think they can match up pretty well there. They had a couple plays where the freshman had a couple missed reads. That's going to happen with a true freshman in 2020. That's going to happen. So I liked what I saw from them. They just got to be more consistent.
Your thoughts then overall, when you have all of this delay, you don't have spring drills, you don't have non-conference games, and yes, we know it was Kansas, and early on, Kansas makes a play, catches a pass, makes a throw. It could have been maybe 10-0 or 14-7 KU. But overall, considering everything, your thoughts about what you saw, and how would you grade them if you had an A through an F?
I would give them a solid B. There's a lot to clean up, obviously, because it's a first game. But the fact that you were able to really put it on a team without 3 offensive line starters and without 3 major rotation guys on the defensive line, and you were still able to do that, that speaks pretty loudly. There were a lot of things to clean up, but being able to do that while shorthanded is certainly impressive.
Yep. Okay. Well, Greg?
Yeah, what do you think that means for this weekend against West Virginia?
Well, I think Baylor will win. I think the offensive line will be in better shape by far than it was last year. I don't think it'll be pretty. I think it's going to be one of those to pull away late. But I definitely think they'll get the win. I just don't trust West Virginia's offensive line yet, and I think Roberts and Aranda will have some good pressure packages to take care of the offense on that side of the ball. And I think Baylor will have an up-and-down performance on offense. I think they'll be able to handle a lot of line stunts and the unique coverages that West Virginia throws at them. But I also think West Virginia specializes in disrupting an offense. I think they'll get a couple stops off of that, but I think for most of the day, Baylor will be able to move the ball.
Do you think this is an opportunity for Tyquan Thornton to get something, kind of kickstart him?
I think potentially. One thing West Virginia tends to do is anytime you have a 3 receiver to one side and one guy on the backside, an awful lot of the time they're putting a linebacker out underneath where that wide receiver would be doing his route on the solo side, and they've got a corner over the top of them. So you might not necessarily have the potential to get deep as often because you'd have somebody over you and somebody under you, which makes it really difficult. But I do think he'll be able to get some shorter catches if he's in that situation. Honestly, I'm more worried about can you consistently move it and can you keep the Stills brothers off of Brewer?
Yeah.
If you do that, I think you win, and I think you win comfortably.
Hey, Sam, do you think it still bothers Dave Aranda what Neil Brown did to him a few years ago when he was at Troy and they upset LSU?
I think it bothers him, but I think it bothers the LSU offensive coordinator more. Troy's defense really carried the day in that one.
Yeah.
And then also Aranda got the best of Brown when he was at Wisconsin, so they're 1-1 so far.
I think that's what brought in Joe Brady, and that's one of the things that started down the road of them changing what they did was that loss to Troy.
Oh, yeah. You look at it, Aranda actually held that offense in check most of the day. It was the fact the LSU offense couldn't do much that really doomed the Tigers that day.
It might have been what brought in Joe Burrow, too, like made the full court press on him.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And that all turned out well for him, and it certainly turned out better for LSU than going up against Michael Peach last week.
For sure.
Golly. Don't you want to just go break that game down? You probably did. Knowing you got a bubble bath going. You got the hot tub and a sauna bath. You got to
went from a science lab to a bubble bath.
This is the only time I've been on the radio, people talking about me in a bubble bath.
Yeah, a bubble
and
bath.
And it will remain the only time, by the way, Sam.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Go get your nice little bath bomb there, Sam. And
he's sitting in the sauna.
Light some candles. Get you a nice
little rosé. I know how you are with Mike Leach. I mean, you X's and O's guys, man. That's just greatness right there.
Most people
watching Pelini go man to man.
Yeah, most people do it from a bubble bath, Smokey.
This may be stranger than a lot of Mike Leach interviews.
Oh my God! Thank you, Sam. Always fantastic to have Sam Bradshaw with us every Thursday at 5:30 to kind of dig into the X's and O's and the scheme and just the way he talks about football. It's fantastic. Now, are we all the way to the top here, Armstrong?
Yeah, we get 7 more minutes.
All the way.
Yeah, 7 more minutes.
Okay. Anything he said in particular that makes you even more excited, or I don't know who West Virginia is, and that a 20-6 game or whatever it was. It might be a different score than that at Oklahoma State. Like that's a regular score, but you'd expect that one to be 45-38 or whatever.
Yeah, but see, I don't think they have the horses on offense yet as far as the playmakers. They're all right, but they're not. I mean, they're not.
Is that Daggy, the kid related to the one that played at Texas Tech?
That's him.
Oh,
that's Jared Daggy. Yeah.
I thought it was another one.
Seth Daggy, that's his brother.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I felt really stupid there again for 1 second, like bubble bath.
No, Jared was at Bowling Green, and then
Okay.
Seth was at Tech, and Neil Brown knows Charlie because he recruited Michael, Charlie's brother, and there's a whole brother thing going on with the Daggies and the Brewers, and Neil Brown and knowing all those.
Did you guys know Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley were roommates?
Heard that just a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times.
This is
1,000 times a year.
Brand new information to me.
Yeah, it's breaking news. Da, 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 da.
You know who got tired of hearing that? Probably. Well, I mean, they were always there, but I would think that their parents would got tired of hearing, like, where people would bone from, like, I heard on TV that you got. Oh God, yes.
Yeah, that was very tiresome.
Well, they must not have ever said anything for 4 years in a row. That's all you heard.
So, I'm going to tell a quick story about Jackson Shipley. This was the pneumonia game for you, Smokey.
Brownwood,
Brownwood. So I go to Brownwood, and they're playing China Spring, and they just walloped China Spring. But I was kind of excited to see Jackson Shipley because all of our game notes and everything we'd seen and everything, especially, I called Mark Bell on the phone and said, hey, you've talked to Smokey today or this week, and I haven't really got to talk to you all that much. Like, can you kind of just give me a thing because of the pneumonia? And so he was telling me, he's like, man, this Jackson Shipley, he's unbelievable. The film has been, off the charts and blah, 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 blah. And he ran 3 plays. He scored 1 touchdown from like 7 yards out, and they were up by so much so fast.
You sat down.
That Bob just took him out of the game and took his shoulder pads off.
It was like 60-7 or something like that.
I was like, well, that's a bummer. Yeah. It was, So,
Big 12. All right. Baylor at West Virginia. Did you take Baylor?
Yes.
Yeah.
TCU at Texas.
Texas.
Oklahoma State at Kansas.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Come on.
Texas Tech at Kansas State.
K-State.
See, I think Texas Tech will have a very tough week this week.
Well, they had their opportunity. They're not closer. They don't know how to close.
Even if they would have beaten Texas Saturday, which they had them dead to rights.
Well, then they got the letdown game.
Then I would still, of course, Kansas State's coming off all that momentum. Iowa State at home against Oklahoma. Do you go with what OU's done for 20 years in the Big 12 here?
I mean, I think Oklahoma bounces back. I know that this week has probably been on Spencer Sanders not being reckless, or Spencer Sanders. Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler.
Why did they not, just for one series, even when they had the lead, it was obviously that Rattler was rattled, no matter how cocky or confident, and cocky's a word that can be taken out of context, but he's got that swagger. Why would they not, one just series, bring Tanner Mordecai? Yes, we're fond of him, the midway quarterback. Just one series, let Tanner come in when you're up still by 14.
Well, and just to calm things down.
Just to give Rattler a chance to watch the game
to have
for a series
a breath and all that. Yeah, I think. I don't know if Lincoln's ever had to do that before in his tenure.
I think maybe it's something you hindsight's 20/20. In the heat of the moment, they're on the sidelines. It's easy for us to go like, "Hey, throw Mordecai in there for a few reps." Well, I mean, do we know he's healthy? We think he is, but do we know that for sure? We don't know what he looked like in practice. We've seen limited action from him, and it's been okay. It's nothing that makes you super inspired that he's going to go lead the team to the multiple scores or anything. So, I mean, Lincoln knows that situation better than anybody else. And, maybe he just made a mistake. Maybe he just made the wrong choice. That happens too, and I think that's what happened there for sure, with the benefit of hindsight. Might have also been part of just like, hey, let's let him play through it. Let him play through it, and hey, maybe that nervousness will go away if he can lead him on a drive to go score, and it dissipates or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, hindsight being 20/20, they should have done something different with the handling of Rattler. But he's going to be a great quarterback. The longer or the more that he plays, he's got the goods. He's not a runner, though, like a Kyler or a Baker or guys like that were. And so that's a big departure from what they've really had on campus the last few years because Hurts was a runner. Baker was a runner. Kyler was a runner. So it's a little bit different there. And I'm going to go with Oklahoma in this game just because they don't ever lose back-to-back Big 12 conference games. But it would not shock me if they did, in fact, because I was not overly impressed with their defense.
Man.
I was not, and who has been like ever in the last 15 years of Oklahoma football. That's still not changed despite all the headlines early on last year about Alex Grinch and everything. So, yeah, I mean, they're not as Teflon as they have been because of that quarterback position and the lack of experience there and because nothing's really changed on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they would just normally overwhelm somebody with another two touchdowns.
They don't have great veteran backs. Like, they typically always have at least somebody. But now, like, Trey Sermon's at Ohio State and Kennedy Brooks goes off. Receiver-wise, I mean, they're pretty good there. But, they're just not the same team typically that they've been. You know, when you have 5 NFL guys in your line every year and 3 receivers and 2 backs and your quarterback is all these NFL products, it's not quite that way this year.
All right, thanks to all of our guests today. Former Baylor defensive back C.J. Wilson. If you didn't hear that, it's a great segment. Shireen Williams, Hall of Fame writer. Jennifer Smoke, Fantasy Football League expert. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Midway's Jeff Hume, Lorena's Ray Biles, Kirk Bowles of the Austin American-Statesman, and Sam Bradshaw, S11, on SicEm365.com. From Armstrong Sims, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, I'm David Smoke. For all of our amazing sponsors, thank you for listening whenever you do. However long it might be, tomorrow we're live from Mac People Stadium. Conley and Robinson football will be live throughout the afternoon. A couple of very, very great, good guests that we'll have included. This is SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Looking for quality plants at great prices? Barrera's Nursery and Landscape Company at 201 Sun Valley Drive in Hewitt is the place for seasonal plants, shrubs, trees, and perennials, as well as bulk material of landscape rock. Barrera's Nursery and Landscape has been locally owned and operated for 22 years. Give us a call at 666-9806. That's 666-9806 for all your landscaping needs. Barrera's Nursery and Landscape Company, open Monday through Saturday, 8 until 5:30 on Sun Valley Drive in Hewitt.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solution for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive, AutomaticChefCanteen.com.